Hello again, and you're welcome to The Big Issue, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. The Big Issue, we discuss the topical issues that dominated media conversations in the past 1 week. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, I'll tell you my guest and then the topic we are discussing today on The Big Issue. Yeah, welcome back. My name is Sami. We are sitting in for regular host Umar Sanda Amadou. This week, a number of issues dominated media conversations. The minority in Ghana's parliament is making some fresh demands. They are asking the government to consider removing the 1 cedi fuel levy that was passed by parliament some few months ago. The argument is that on the face of the recent development within the Middle East, where Iran is under attack from the US and Israel, and if it is affecting our pumps here in Ghana, there's a need for government to cushion Ghanaians or mitigate the plight of Ghanaians by removing the 1 cedi levy that was imposed on every purchase of a litre of fuel. The minority says even though the 1 cedi is not enough, it will help bring some relief to Ghanaians and then see how best they can resolve this matter in the Middle East and see how Ghanaians can also benefit from it. So the demand is that take the 1 Ghana cedi off from the fuel purchases and mitigate the plight of Ghanaians. But government has made a counter-argument. They believe that there's some long-standing debt within the energy sector that needs to be cleared before any decision on this matter can be taken. It's one of the issues we are discussing today on The Big Issue. Is it about time government considers the plight of Ghanaians by removing that levy, or it still remains in our books, or it still remains as far as clearing the debt the energy sector is concerned? Also, a number of conflicts of issues have dominated media conversations this week. Number one is the Gold Board. Sami James and his Gold Board has come under fire over an award of a contract to a company linked to the Deputy Chief of Staff, Stan Dogbe. They believe that because of his privileged position as the Deputy Chief of Staff, some of these contracts should not go to him because of insider advantage. The minority demands that that contract, which is 11 million Ghana cedis, should not be given to Mr. Stan Dogbe and his company in the first place, but others think otherwise. Also, an issue of conflict of interest also dominates conversation. It's about the president's brother, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, and his EMP or Engineers and Planners Company. Reports are that it is on the verge of acquiring the Damine Gophos mine somewhere in the part of the country. Many people believe that as the president's driver, why am I saying driver? Why am I saying driver? Why am I saying driver? As the president's brother, he is not supposed to benefit from some of these things. But if you see some document which says that the particular no objection document on the acquisition was awarded in 2024 when Samuel Abu-Jinapo was the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. That issue has also dominated conversation. And also this week, the issue of re-registration of SIM card also came up. The Minister of Communications, Sam Joy, held a stakeholder meeting where he outlined some areas in which there is the need for re-registration of SIM card. Just this weekend as well, the former Minister of Communications, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, has come out strongly debunking assertions that the previous one, which was done in 2022 and 2023, was not done properly. But she says over 80% of the target was met. And so she finds it no need for this present administration to go about or introduce re-registration of SIM card because it has been done already. But then the government and Sam George thinks otherwise. He believes that there is a need to do this all over again to achieve the targets that they need to achieve, to safeguard the system and also protect Ghanaians from fraudulent activities. These three issues dominated media conversation this week. We're going to have a conversation on this matter. To join us, have a conversation on this matter is Kojo Insafua Poku. I hope I got it right this time around. 100%. No mistake. He's an energy analyst, a member of the New Patriotic Party, the NPP. Also have in the studio Lamtig Apanga. Lamti. Yeah. Okay. Apanga. He's a deputy CEO of the Gaming Commission and a member of the governing NDC. Also in the studio is Dr. Nana Yao Educhum. He's a policy director for the UP, the United Party, Alan Chamantin's United Party. Let me put it that way. And he's also here with us in the studio. And then Duncan Amo, executive director of COPEC, will also join us. And then Franklin Kujo, the president of Imani Africa, will join us on Zoom to help us have a conversation on this matter. These are the issues we are discussing today, and my guest, as I mentioned to you, will help us digest this matter. We'll go for a quick break again. When we come back, the group chat begins.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you.
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis, it's the hard-hitting conversations and the probing questions of The Point of View.
So what is the Public Account Committee's job?
So what we do is to scrutinize, clarify, and find out why certain infractions have been made.
What do these IMF programs try to do?
The current program is for budget support.
Okay.
There are no projects attached.
That teases apart the twisted entanglements of politics and governance, as well as religious and social discourse. The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issue.
What authority do you have?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Meet the Blanksons.
Meet Papa Blankson, the big man. Always talking big, never following plan. Meet Mama Blankson, fire in her hands. She carries the whole house, she gives the commands. Every day is
This week, Frema Edinyame steps into the world of the Blanksons family on The Upside Down Show. It's drama, surprises, and moments you won't see coming.
Hello, the Blanksons. Don't you love them already? You know, whose character really looked like them?
I think him. Yeah.
Right? Mrs. Blankson, how would you describe your character?
I would say Mrs. Blankson is the keeper of the home. She's the one who pushes things behind the scenes and makes things, like she just makes the things in the home all come together. So, like they say, behind every successful man, there's a woman.
Mr. Blankson, was there a point throughout the entire shoot that you felt, I wish I wasn't doing this?
It didn't have to do with the content.
Okay.
It had to do with the time.
Okay.
The ungodly hours. I said, Obi show.
Make a date this Sunday at 7 p.m. only on The Upside Down Show on Channel 1 TV.
Yeah, welcome back. You're still watching The Big Issue, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. I've told you the topic we are discussing today, and my guests are already seated. So let's zoom straight into the topic. The minority in Ghana's parliament are making some demands. They believe that it's about time government scraps the 1 cedi levy that was imposed on consumers in the face of some outstanding debt at the energy sector. The minority believes that on the face of what's happening globally and what's affecting the pumps, it's about time government considers removing the 1 cedi levy. Let's hear the minority in parliament.
The minority members on the Energy Committee of Parliament on Wednesday addressed journalists calling on the government to scrap the 1 Ghana cedi levy imposed on petroleum products as part of measures to cushion Ghanaians against the impact of the ongoing tensions in the Middle East as fuel prices rise locally.
If the guarantee has been restored, and if the cedi is no longer shielding consumers from levies impact, then the justification for the 1 Ghana cedi doomsday levy has completely evaporated. Keeping it is not policy, it is punishment. We call on government to immediately amend the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act 2025 under a certificate of urgency to repeal the 1 Ghana cedi doomsday levy forthwith.
Collins Adumako Mensah is the deputy ranking member on the Energy Committee of Parliament and the member of Parliament as well. Kojo, I'll start with you. Your colleagues in Parliament believe that it's about time the 1 cedi levy is removed on the back of what's happening globally.
Well, for that conversation to be situated, you need to look at the background.
Okay.
And when the one city was introduced.
Yeah.
You remember when prices were low, and prices were really going down to a point where the government felt that, look, there is room for the government to be able to put one city, and even in the window that we're going into, if one city is added, nobody will know. You remember that conversation, right? So the one city was introduced at the time when the prices were going down, and they came in. And I even said, but who said that one city is the largest increase ever on a litre, right? One single increase, one city is the biggest increase in one window. So if you add it, who said we wouldn't notice? And basically, it was added. Now, Ghanaians are suffering. The prices are high. And if you looking up to government to do something for us, because when the NDs were in opposition, they made so much noise that government should be able to do things to cushion the burden and the standard of living of Ghanaians. So the bigger conversation is that government should help Ghanaians. Government cannot just sit at bay and say that, look, shock absorbers, there's no shock absorbers. Everything that hits the car should hit the passengers. No. So the one city conversation is situated in a certain context that you only introduced it when prices were low. Now that prices are high, that Ghanaians cannot afford, let's look at it. The challenge is that it's a law, right? It's not something that was passed like the Price Stabilization Recovery Levy that can be zeroed and zeroed back. No, it's part of the ESLA. So for you to remove it, you have to take a law to Parliament to pass it, to remove it, and to bring it back. You need to take a law again to bring it back. So even if you consider that in a temporary nature, right? Because temporarily, now prices are high, yes. It's for me, I don't like offering solutions to the government. The government is the one who said that they can do better.
But you're a citizen of Ghana.
Yes, I am a citizen of Ghana, but what I want is relief. I buy more because my bread. That's my position. That's everybody's position, right? And one of the things that the government told us was that, oh, prices are low, so let's introduce one city on fuel and nobody will see it. So now that prices are high, we see it. So one of the things government can do is basically remove that one city. But the bigger conversation is that government should help Ghanaians because Ghanaians are suffering. That's the bigger picture. Look, this thing is escalating. We've only started. This window that the price went up is only the first step. We might go on increment of prices for the next 2-3 windows because we've seen the bombing of infrastructure, and some of us want that, look, the war can go on as long as infrastructure is not bombed. But when infrastructure is bombed, it becomes a problem because then after the war, it will take time for the normality to occur because infrastructure takes 6 months to 1 year to fix. So this high prices of crude oil and the plug prices might not just be will not just come down immediately after the war, right? It might take some time to come down. And in the interim, what does government do for Ghanaians? That's the bigger picture. Let's not be fixated on the fact that, the minority is saying that, remove one city. No, what the bigger picture is, we are speaking on behalf of Ghanaians. The NDC said all the things they said when they were in power, and when we were going through the Russia-Ukraine war and things were very in the upward, and they said that, look, if they were in power, President Mahama would not allow this to happen to Ghanaians. Thank God they are in power. President Mahama should not allow this to happen to Ghanaians. So how they resolve it is about the good thing going forward is that what are they doing to cushion the Ghanaian?
But for someone like you who understands the space,
yes,
an energy person,
yes,
if government considers,
yes,
government should consider removing it.
Yes.
Would it help in any way? It's just a city.
Well, look, it would help in the sense that it would reduce the price per litre. Because today, if I go to the pump and I basically pay 4 cedis more, right? And somebody removes that 1 cedi, I pay 4 cedis less. So 4 cedis that I can use to do something else. So any reduction when prices are high helps. So it's not about whether it will help. When it goes out of our pocket, it's significant because it adds up. If you are buying 10 liters, that's 40 cedis. So if you are buying 10 gallons, it's 40 cedis. And every week, if you are saving 40 cedis from the no-COVID bill that we have, government doesn't have money, right? because they can't even pay the cocoa farmer. That's what we are told, right? And we've now seen the cocoa farmer saying that Muhammad, they are cut, and he has to pay them their money. He can't. So look, when some of these things are said, and I keep saying the government doesn't have money, and people think that I'm speaking for the government, I'm not. I'm trying to let Ghanaians understand that the government that came in and said all the beautiful things last year, that the economy is doing so well, we have so much reserves, and came up and said we are going to do 15 months of reserve, can even pay salaries without borrowing. Atoforsen came out and told us that.
Currently?
Yes, but you heard this. You've heard Atoforsen say it, that we have to borrow 17 billion in 2025 to pay salaries. He said it himself. And now, why did that conversation come up? Because the president now made an instruction that they should take on 5,000 more people a year into the government payroll. And that statement is very significant because he is indicating to the president that, look, we can't afford it. So, look, people should listen to me and not listen to Atoforsen. I keep saying this. I'm telling you, because I keep telling everybody, no, listen to this.
He's our finance minister.
Yes, but you see, the problem,
the manager of Ghana's pairs.
Let me tell you something. The fact that somebody becomes a minister doesn't make him a know-it-all. The truth of the matter is that ever since he became a finance minister, he's lied to us at every single point in time. Look, how do you go to Parliament and present a paper on the floor of Parliament that you are going to increase our reserves to 15 months?
Yeah.
You are going to spend 2 billion Ghana cedis to give to Gold Board to buy gold to reserve when you can't even find money to pay salaries. How is that possible? And this is the finance minister who went to Parliament to tell us that. So the same government who can't find money to pay salaries is telling us that he's going to find money 2 billion to give to Gold Board to buy gold and keep it as reserves. Does that add up? Let's be honest with ourselves. The same government who, when he budgeted 32 billion for infrastructure fund, capital expenditure, right? His capital expenditure was 32 billion. He could not spend 56% of that capital expenditure because he doesn't have the money. The government that said that he was going to basically raise T-bills up to 40 billion Ghana cedis was able to only raise 10.
But perhaps your government left him an empty coffers.
Our government left him 19 billion Ghana cedis that he came and used in the first 6 months of his government. He doesn't talk about that. When he came, he has money sitting there. Let's not forget that he came and talked so much about this thing called, this fund that he keeps talking about. What's that thing called? That he's going to create buffers, right? And that buffers is going to help him. What's that thing he talks about? It will come to me. And the sinking fund. Sinking fund.
But right? that one has been there since at 2020.
He came and said that the MPP left only 127 million Ghana cedis in the sinking fund. And in the dollar sense, the Bahamas said we only left 6,000 cedis in the sinking fund, right? And they proposed to put X amount of money, about 200 and something million in the sinking fund in 2025. Do you know how much Atoforsen put in the sinking fund? Zero. The whole of 2025, Atoforsen did not put a single penny in that sinking fund. So I'm telling you that this is a government that is not doing well. So when I say that the government doesn't have money, I'm not saying it for people to think that I'm speaking for the government. No, I'm letting Ghanaians understand that all that is rose, all that glitters is not gold. And they spoke about a lot of glitter. Those glitter are things that the MPP put in place and they enjoyed in 2025. And they, the cocoa for a cup.
Okay. Duncan, I had opportunity to speak to the spokesperson for the Ministry of Energy on Eyewitness News. And his argument is that, yes, indeed, there are debts within the sector to clear. And so it will be a bit premature for us to consider, even though it's one of the options on the table, it will be premature for us to consider a removal. From consumers' take, you think we should consider that?
Sami, good morning to you again and to your viewers and listeners. My brother Kojopoku has confused me. He started very well. His points were intact until he decided that Atoforsen needed to be added to the topic. So he's dealt with.
We should listen to him and not.
No, but he
yes, where he says that
whichever way you talk about finance of the nation, he is the topic.
Wait, Kojo.
Okay, go on.
Kojo. What Same asks or is asking, the one city that your side of the divide as an NPP have also contributed to saying that it should be removed. In fact, it's a call that we had made. If you read the Daily Graphic this week, or was it last week or this week, one of the editions, it was a call that we made that government should consider lowering the taxes in the face of, global spikes in fuel prices. And that is without malice, mischief, or anything. You would want a situation where it's a win-win for everybody. The government cannot continue to pass on every single one of the taxes to the consumer to bear at a time that the global situation is also not looking any better. It's looking gloom and doom. And so it's not out of place that the minority have added their voice to the call for government to consider easing on taxes. Generally, I don't think it's just the one Ghana city. There are a myriad of taxes on your price build-up that if you did an interrogation here, you could probably get something significant, to take down. The one Ghana city in particular, probably like Ojo said, is the single largest item on the price build-up. There's never been a single tax since Ghana's independence that even crossed the threshold of 60 pesos. You had about 49, 53, 52. But for the one Ghana, which probably would generate a conversation in a day, the amount involved, as a line item on your price build-up is something significant for which eyes will come to it any day. In fact, if you recall, at the onset of the one Ghana, we were quite certain that at any point that prices become quite difficult for Ghanaians, we'll probably go for that first. Not because the other taxes that we have on the price build-up, we find them justified. Look, we have inputted ESLA, right? That was to be there to cater for legacy debts, right? We said at the outset of ESLA
But that debt we never finished paying.
Same, you wait. ESLA came into effect the 3rd of January 2016. The 3rd of January 2016. The outset of ESLA was that in 5 years, we had a debt of about 1.9, 2.3 billion to clear, right, in the energy space. And so looking at the accruals, within 5 years, we should be able to pay off the energy sector debt. And it should have gone off. So 2016 all the way to 2021, the 5 years would have elapsed, Same. If you add another 5 years, that would have been January 2026. So we've done ESLA for 10 good years.
And we are still paying.
It's still hanging on the neck of Ghanaians. When you go to the pumps this morning, you buy a liter, you are paying for it. And so you ask, at what point would, Ghanaian authorities or Ghana government be sensitive to the consumer? Because if you come asking for something, right, Same, you ask me for my iron to say that you are pressing your clothes. By evening, you should return it. The second day is not come. Third day is not come. I should be worried. Yeah. So some of the taxes that we have on the price build-up, at the beginning of this government, I requested that we do an energy dialogue where we probably go through the price build-up, do a rationalization or justification analysis. Does this still have to be here? It looks as though when finance ministers are tight, then they come to Petro and say, I'm slapping this. Setekpe did. Kenoforiata came did. The current finance minister has also added one city. So it looks as though anytime they are hard pressed, the easiest or the lowest hanging fruit is, petroleum taxation. But nobody bothers to take them off as and when we feel the need for which we slap them on the Ghanaian probably has been outlived. Yeah. You recall there's a tall debt levy in 2003. Same, as we speak, it's still embedded in ESLA that you pay for. Yet, when you go and check the Tor debt itself, as we speak, is over 500 million USD. So whilst you've been paying for this since 2003, 23 good years, it's not as if the more you pay, the better the situation gets. The more you pay, the deeper we sink as a country. So some questions would have to be asked by well-meaning Ghanaians, right? You may not like a minority, right? You may disagree with them, but the core that they have added their voices to is genuine. The only difference I would have to that core at this point would be the way forward. Sami, if we just go flat, okay, let's rationalize the taxes or justify or take them off, right? It's feasible, it's doable. But over the long stretch, we would still not be able to get what Ghanaians aspire for or asking for. The Israeli-Iranian-American conflict, right? We were thinking, oh, 2 weeks, I mean, it should end. Trump said that, oh, they've achieved a lot of their goals earlier and that the war should end soon. Then Iran decided to go for an economic war, right? Instead of the normal brutal conflict, you bomb me, I bomb you, you kill me, I kill you situation. They went for the economic angle. Initially, the world did not perceive that where Iran was hitting was going to come back at us. So I was not surprised that on Thursday, a group of countries are now calling on Iran to desist from attacking the Hormuz, and they were citing international law. Some of the questions people were asking, international law has existed and others have gone on the bombing spree. So you can't hide behind international law now to call Iran to restraint. And I said yesterday that I would expect the G7 or the EU not to get involved at this point.
But they've been quiet all this while, so I'm not expecting them to get involved as well.
Same. True. You see, the big brother in the room has found himself conflicted in this conflict. Normally, if there were conflicts across the world, America would have served as the global police, will go in with a peace plan, a dialogue, a diplomatic, route, and say, okay, you do this, okay, you give that, you concede here, you allow this, then there's some peace. America itself is at the table of the conflict. What the world now has left is the European powers coming together to say, look, okay, US, Israel, one table, Iran, we need peace because this conflict is having a disastrous consequence on Europe. Even on Americans, as I speak with you, fuel prices within the United States has jumped to about 22% higher. Year-on-year price, right, across the world, where Brent has been the standard, $72. As of yesterday, we were doing about 49% more. It's over $113, Sami. And like Ojo rightfully said, we have targeted, refineries, we've targeted processors, we've targeted oil fields, right? We are bombing every installation. As of yesterday, news coming in was that Iran has even attacked the biggest refinery in Israel. And they were successful, which means that Israel itself is not going to get the oil anymore, right? Within the Gulf, the Hormuz is ensuring that the traffic is not flowing. Some few vessels are allowed to pass, right? But the danger there is this. If you don't get the supply that you need, okay, I need a full of this to be able to sustain me through the day. If I get even 3/4, right, and the 1/4 doesn't come, Sami, I still cannot satisfy. It's not full. Yeah. So I will go chasing something here. Kojo would also go chasing here. He comes, so everybody is chasing everybody because there's shortage of that commodity. So whatever pertains now, if Ghana was to be strategic, you will not only be discussing the one Ghana city alone or the taxes together. You will be discussing a strategy that says that let's call BOST to the table at this point. Let's call TOR, let's call Central, let's call the private depots to the table at this point, right? Same, I would repeat this. I had an interview with you during the week. It will be better for Ghanaians, right, to be made stable at 15, 16 as we have now, right, where petrol is around 12, 13. Diesel is around 15, you know, largely 15.69, 15.89, some are even 15.99, 16. It will be better to hold Ghanaians or help Ghanaians to stay around the 13 to 15, 16, as it is now, than to wait, right? Make the excuses that has been made. Be overly optimistic and say, oh, well, we have stock, as you heard earlier. Yeah. That stock conversation was largely flawed on two fronts. Whose, account are you holding the stock on? If it is the BDC or private capital, Kojo is a BDC, he is a BDC, you are a BDC, right? Collective, what we have brought in is where you are holding a stock. Then you have no stock. You know why? Kojo would be owing a supplier, right? So Kojo would need to sell and pay that supplier. That stock is not for Kojo. Yeah. He's only holding it in tank. He would also equally have to pay the supplier. So together they will sell. Would they sell at a rate that you predetermine or you think is comfortable? No. They will sell for commercial because the supplier does not expect that they can pay him 2 cents when it's supposed to be 5 cents, right? The only time you could have claimed to have a stock, Same, as a country, is when you yourself have invested in strategic stock, right? Unfortunately, we have gone to sleep on that. Not a single liter. So the stock that we boast of is commercial stock, private capital stock, right? And the BDC cannot tell you that they will hold stock for 10 weeks. It's not in their interest. They are a trading hub. So they buy, they sell, they run a trading cycle, right? Clean whatever they need to clean, go to the next cycle, right? So if rates continue to go up, Same, would you expect that the BDC would say that, okay, I have a stock that I got last week. If I sell the stock at 11, the next time I'm going for cargo, I will need to pay 13. That 2 extra CD, I cannot throw it away. I would need to charge commercial for it.
Okay.
So we have not planned as a country, one. Where we've gotten to with the global or geopolitical situation calls for a lot of planning. The 1 CD conversation is just a minute part of the conversation where consumers can feel some immediate relief. But the truth is, if the government is minded to want to give consumers relief, it is better to plan from yesterday or today,
okay,
than to have a conversation back and forth that says, oh, we can do something about, we won't do anything about taxes. Look, even if you are to take off the entire 4 Ghana cedi tax, right, only for fuel prices to continue going up, you know, Monday to Friday, it goes up again, it goes up. Over time, there will be nothing to remove, right? The pole is left bare, there's no goalkeeper, there's nothing. So everything that comes will come straight in. Your refineries are not working as you're thinking they should. Your buffer, which is the bulk oil storage and transportation, that you should be planning at this point to get, product for. When the war began, the Lomé space, offshore Lomé, right, had a lot of cargo because there was already a glut. We had over supply situation, right? I was hoping that we will be quick to go in there and secure a lot of those cargoes, right? And find a way to pump them in. But we were optimistic that the war would not last. Yeah. It will end soon. There's no need for panic. So as I speak with you, South Africans have been quick. They've loaded a lot of what you had at offshore Lomé, right? Across Asia, a lot of the countries are now, rationing fuel. Universities have had to be shut down across Asia, right? Some of the places that had 5 working days, they've gone to 4. They see what we are not seeing, right? And we are thinking all is well. I am saying on your platform, let the Ghanaian government not go to sleep on this situation. It will come biting us so hard. It will get worse. Look, Kojo said right.
It will get worse.
It is not looking any better. As of yesterday, Iran is bombing a refinery in Israel. Okay. Do you get where they are going? It's an economic war purely for them.
Okay.
And so long as the Strait of Hormuz conversation is not ended, and flow is not at the optimal levels they were, you would continue to have supply suppression, and that will continue to impact on prices.
Okay,
and that will mean
I'll come back to you.
I needed to clarify one last thing, then you can move on.
30 seconds.
Yes. You see, again, I have said here, the conversation or the excuses has been that, oh, we don't even buy from the Gulf region, right? We are buying from Europe. And I have said this, you are even the weakest at this point, because Europe is feeding off Asia, particularly India and China, right? India is not getting the product that they would have taken from Iran, you know, Kuwait, Qatar, and all those places. So where you are getting your feed is already being, as it were, starved. And you think you'll be fine, you're on the third leg. So if anybody has got to plan, Ghana and other countries that depend on Europe largely for finished products, you've got to plan way ahead. The tax conversation will come to it, properly in the coming days. But I would need that authorities...
We begin to plan now.
Now.
I'll come to you shortly, because you need to hear everybody before you can react, because your government is under fire. so just give me something. Let me take Nanaya's own.
No problem.
This morning, I've heard that some governments in Africa are having a conversation with Dangote for possible, source now because of what's happening. You think Ghana should also consider going that route because of what's happening globally?
Sammy, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think one doesn't need to echo that point, because if you follow the international news, it's even clear. A leading and credible economic consulting firm and bank, Goldman Sachs, predict that this issue of having the crude above $100 will stay with us up to about 2027. And it's not only that. There are other countries or other energy think tanks that are also predicting that the way the war is going, we are likely to experience high crude oil price in the international market above 120. Currently, it's, as Duncan said, about 113. The interesting thing is our politics. Duncan is very right, and I can see Kwadwo's hesitation in speaking and being honest. But see, seriously, we have to, on the table, look at it from a very objective point. There are 5, in my view, similar taxes or levies on an energy price build-up. So if you want to push government to take a decision on that and you're objective, I think you should look at that. For example, there is energy debt recovery, there is special petroleum tax, there is price stabilization, there is energy sector debt recovery, and then there's the so-called DUBSO 160. You see, so seriously speaking, if you want to do cushion Ghanaian, then you have to look at it from a pure holistic point. The third point is also that if you are not playing politics, then you have to toe the line, as Duncan is saying, strategic foresight. What does it mean? What it means is that you need to quickly realign not only your supply chain management, but also having discussion with key players in the sector. Because, there are mature economies, mostly in the EU and northern part of the globe. They are even taking steps to take strategic response to the conflict. But we seem to be laissez-faire, as in thinking that the war will end. But the leader of the war, Mr. Donald Trump, yesterday said we've achieved all our strategic goals. 3 days ago, he said we are not going to stop. We don't know when I will stop. It depends on me. So it should signal to the government that we have to have a strategic foresight in dealing with the issue. And there are other signals coming up. Yesterday, I had a virtual meeting with some colleagues from India. And one of them made it clear that, we've started working from home. Indians have started working from home. They've cut off the number of times they travel. We have not had any communication from government or any government institution to preempt that the demand we have cannot sustain.
But it's not that bad for them artists here.
But the challenge is that if you say it's not that bad, India strategy has inserted itself into the crude oil supply chain because of the difficulties Russia is facing. And India is leveraging a lot. Duncan will tell you, they are leveraging a lot because now they will offtake stock from Iran and other sources, and then divert it, and America sees it and doesn't say anything.
They are the middlemen now, eh?
Yeah, they are the middlemen. You see, they are doing good business. Even them, they are cutting down demand, and we are doing nothing. And that is a worrying to us at the UP, our policy unit. We are worried. But the thing is also that in politics, you have to be sensational. We cannot, Honorable Lanche Martin says, we have to be pragmatic. So I agree with Duncan. Making the point that remove the 1 cedi, it is not the issue. It goes beyond that. One, we need to look at even how the levies and the taxes on petroleum have been managed by the two parties. That is a critical point. Because I have traveled to Tor recently, and even the road to Tor, less than 5 kilometers from the roundabout, it tells you how we think. And this thing has existed between these two parties. And I always say pendulum swing. Kojo sitting here is eyeing to be Minister of Energy because he knows that whatever the case is,
I don't know where you
that's the first question.
I don't know where you
Kojo, the secret is out though.
I don't know where you get that.
Sammy, because he knows that he's quite sure, worst case, after 8 years, the power will come to UPP. So we are not doing things right. And I think that your platform, we should use your platform to tell the two parties that we will not allow them to continue with this same thinking. And I will urge my brother Duncan, he's been doing very well, to take the fight up, and we will support him. Let's make it apolitical. Because if we don't do that, look, there is no space to put another levy on Ghanaians. I'm telling you, there's no space. And then also, there is no fiscal space. So we are in a very tight corner if you look at the Ghanaian economy. Now, if you take the 1 cedi out and say you are cushioning Ghanaians, you have been taxed to employ 5,000 more people. And that is adding on to the other side, the expenditure side. Where is government going to? Now, we don't also have the same capacity to borrow as we can. And if even now you're going to borrow, remember that where the global economy is heading towards, you are likely to be charged more even when you go into the international capital market, which we don't even have the credibility to go in the short to medium term. So we are in a very tight corner. I would like to suggest that there should be a dispassionate discussion, and the government should change its posture, okay, and call all the relevant stakeholders on the table. That is, I believe, how we can build consensus. Call every relevant stakeholder on the table, and let's have a frank and dispassionate discussion on the way forward. But immediately, the NDC government has a responsibility, take preemptive measures, and their thinking has to go beyond political. We are removing the 1 cedi because the 1 cedi will not do anything.
If that is the demand of Ghanaians, if Ghanaians feel that this will help cushion us, it's going to help us, it's the same Ghanaian people who put them in that office. So they should hear what the ordinary Ghanaian is saying.
That is true, but you see, the ordinary Ghanaian doesn't have the full picture. That is the unfortunate part. But the government has the full picture. Because government knows that one is being taxed to employ more people because we need to create more jobs. But that is not the way out. It's not sustainable. So next year we're going to do 5,000, and then, as I said, Dunketia says we get to about 500 or 1 million security forces. Then we don't have anybody to arrest them. We have to lay them off. So we have to be serious and look at how we can build shocks to absorb some of these external shocks that we face as a country. And we are not going to run away from that. The last point before you ask me any question is also how the African Union as a region is also responding. You know, EU has been very serious. Their foreign ministers have had meetings. Even the Middle East, the Arab nations, they've been having meetings, virtual meetings and fiscal meetings. I have seen no action from the AU. No action, basically. And we are hosting, Cameroon is going to host the trade ministers meeting, I think, next week or so. And you see, I know our contribution to the global GDP is very small, but we are the future. Africa is the future. So we need to take that leadership role.
But our leaders think we are the future?
I mean, they don't. That is the unfortunate thing.
Our leaders think we are the future?
They don't. You see, and that is why the regions are taking preemptive measures. And we are not. We only issue statements, we ensure food security. What is the pragmatic policies that you are recommending? What support are you giving to nations? Because some countries indeed may not have the economic capacity to even reorient their economic policies. And AU, I think, should up their game. AU should up their game.
Nana, thank you.
See how you ended up with Atufosin.
How do you know? He said AU. He said AU.
He has a responsibility. He says the minister of the government.
Sammy, I will not run away. Sammy, I will not run away. I will not run away because you see, no, but
you see, every conversation that you have, every conversation around this table, you cannot have that conversation without Minister of Finance.
But Sammy, see, Kojo is not far from the truth because if you look at the position of this government, you know, in MPP time, you heard a lot about EMT. For almost 15 months, you hardly hear anything from the EMT as it is. So what I understand is that Atuforsen is the economic czar of the country. So Kojo is not far from right in saying that he has a responsibility to show leadership for the energy minister, for other ministries who contribute to the thinking behind our economic programs and policies. So, I mean, he's right.
Ato has been fantastic.
Well, that's fine.
But they say Ato is forcing.
You let him. Let them tell their story.
They say Ato is forcing.
What do you do?
Ato has been fantastic.
What do you do?
We'll take care of it.
You know your colleagues.
Yes, I heard everyone. I've heard everyone. I've also observed what the minority in parliament have been pushing, and some energy think tank have also been pushing out. I must say that the call for the removal is not out of place. The timing and appropriateness of the situation must be well situated in the current discussion. We should appreciate that the essence of that levy is for a particular objective or objectives. These objectives include stabilizing the energy sector, clearing legacy debts. And we have seen some achievements in that area. I mean, we saw a payment of $1.4 billion to the IPPs, which is very significant because it helped to bring them back into operation, helped to stabilize their work, and then keep them going. Now, we also saw that there's been more or less stability in power supply in Ghana, generally, which as a result of payments to some of these IPPs to be able to continue to fuel their plants and provide us with power. One thing we must consider is that if we should have stability in power production, power supply, it is much better for us at some inconvenience than to have shortages and perhaps doomsday situations coming back again. I mean, any situation that will take us back into doomsday or power crisis will really put us in a very tight corner. Think about it carefully. We have a situation where fuel prices are already high, and then we're going to have power crisis in addition. I mean, our economy will practically shut down. So everybody, particularly the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Energy, at this stage is thinking about all these dynamics. And that is why perhaps there will not be a rush to have the 1 CD levy removed immediately. There may be a time to review it, but particularly at this stage, I think it's a bit too early. Because think about it, that the introduction of that levy has helped to solve some problem. We may have to endure an additional cost just for a few more months or a few more years to be able to stabilize. Perhaps this war will end. I mean, we've had some indications in the past that it's ending, and then suddenly we had the indication that it's not ending. But the beauty of it is that the call for an end to the war by other players and the refusal to even participate in the war is also significant because it is helping to give a sign to the US, Israel, and perhaps Iran that
there have been several calls for Putin to end the attack in Ukraine. But he's never listened. The war is about 3 years. It's been 3 years now. Yeah. So assuming that there are calls on Trump to also end, and he says he's developed the Putin posturing, then what do we do?
There will come a time when it comes to an end. I mean, for me, it's the violation of international law that's sometimes very critical for all of us. Because you think about the fact that, I mean, there are international laws that govern nations' relationship with other nations and when to go to war and all that. And even UN, the role that UN will play in this. And it turns out that you don't find any of this now playing out because the big boys who are in control think that they can put aside the UN and other international bodies and go ahead and, without regard to international law, attack other nations and put the entire world in a very critical situation. I think the critical thing which Duncan has mentioned is very important, that it is about time we have a conversation looking into a long-term solution. One of the long-term solutions will be how we can even have a sub-regional trade. I mean, we have energy-producing countries in Africa. Why are we not trading amongst ourselves? Why are we not empowering our refineries? And we're going all the way to Europe, who are also not even the main producers, but they are secondary. And so it is important. I mean, this gives us an opportunity to look at it. And I am sure the minister is listening, the government is listening. The good part of it is that we have a government that is listening. We have a government that is willing to make adjustments where necessary. I am happy that the call is not coming mainly from the NPP that's trying to score a point, a political point out of this. And that it's coming from well-meaning persons. It's rather quiet sometimes. No, you are playing politics. You are playing politics. You are just playing politics with
How
it.
is that politics? We are echoing the cry of Ghanaians.
You're merely playing politics with it. You're just playing politics with it. I mean, if there is any moral lessons to take from imposition of levies and taxes, it won't come from the NPP. Why? I mean, when we were in deep crisis in 2022, that's when they introduced the e-levy.
And they had a cake.
And the pain of it is that you actually call your colleagues, when you are imposing hardship on people, you call colleagues and then celebrate the imposition of the tax. I mean,
Kojo has never agreed to that one, so don't.
Well, Kojo is one individual. We may excuse him. Kojo is one individual. Kojo is one individual. We may excuse him. And so we won't take moral lessons from the NPP as far as the withdrawal levies are concerned, because, of course, we know that these things come with some political undertones. But the most important thing is that Ghanaians are watching the space. We want to ensure that there is adequate supply of fuel. Duncan mentioned a very significant point about the initial discussions about we having enough supplies. I think we must differentiate the availability of supply and ownership. What NPA sought to give assurance to is that we have availability of fuel to last us some particular periods. The claim is not necessarily about ownership as to who owns it. Of course, it may be important to have BOST or the government have some strategic stock, but we may also be calling on government to get involved directly in the energy sector and the fuel supply chain system. Because when we do that, then slowly we are getting government back into that area. But over time, we have liberalized it and allowed private individuals to get involved. What we may continue to do is to encourage private individuals to continue to play significant roles. Government may provide the infrastructure, but I think the call to bring government back into the fuel sector area may create some state involvement. And we know what it is when the states get involved in some of these things. And so we get to hear about losses and other issues that comes up later. So it's better that the private sector continue to play their role, but they must have adequate supply. And we have adequate supply. We have availability. That is most significant. And then what is critical is that we will not go back into power crisis. At least if we have to bear this cost, it may be significant, but let's bear it for the next few months.
For the availability, the last time we spoke to the MPA, that's like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
We've not had any updates. From what you said, you've heard of any update in terms of increasing the stock? Because he said 5 weeks. We've done 2 weeks already. It means we have only 3 weeks left.
No, but you should look at it from this perspective. It's not as though when we have 5 weeks, it means that we have to exhaust the 5 weeks before the next supply. The supplies are on daily basis. So we have stock to last us 5 weeks, which means that every time we are getting enough supply to replace whatever we are consuming. What may be important, which Duncan mentioned, is how we can manage demand and usage so that we don't waste it. Because we are going into situations where we can't predict exactly how supplies will be in the coming months or coming days. And so it will be important that now let's see how we can, just as during COVID, some institutions shut down a few days, give employees opportunity to work from home. We may now start considering how we can minimize usage so that we can at least leverage on availability and be efficient in what we use. Otherwise, there will come a time where we don't have enough to supply. And then, of course, once there's a shortage in supply, demand will shoot up and we'll have crisis.
Paga, thank you. Let me go on Zoom and get a thought of Franklin Kujo. He's the president of Imani Africa. Franklin, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. The conversation on the table is that the conversation should go beyond just the removal, but then It should be the availability of the product so Ghanaians can have it, so we don't have a situation where we'll go to the pump, all right, even though it's been increased, and yet we'll not have the products to put in our cars and other engines and the likes.
Well, good morning to my good friends. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Franklin.
Beautiful. It's a stimulating conversation. It's always a stimulating one if you have the likes of my good brother Kojo Poku and then Duncan and of course the other two gentlemen who have made this conversation really, really productive. Let me just say one thing. I mean, I know we don't need to go back, but it's also important to make the point. You know, I just remembered that in the last 8 years, we didn't have a single proper investment in the energy sector in terms of oil, right? Do you guys remember? Duncan, am I right? Kojo, am I right?
Frankly, repeat that.
I mean, all the investments that we should have been made further investment made into the oil sector, for instance, the ENI and all of those investments were all put on hold because of people like the
conflict and mismanagement.
Yeah, remember those boardroom wranglings and the likes.
Selfish. Okay, well, so that's the point. I'm just trying to say that while we try to look forward, we should also sometimes remember that certain decisions we take would always come and bite us. If in the good 8 years we didn't have a single proper investment and rather chasing these investors away.
Hello, Franklin.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Maybe it's my network. You can no longer have the opportunity to optimize some of these resources.
Hello, Franklin.
Even if yes, please. I
think the network seems not to be stable, so it keeps breaking in and out when you're making your point.
It's a travesty, really. I don't know what's happening to MTN, but that's the network I'm using. It's giving me all these problems. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm just saying that next time we should optimize the opportunities we have so that at least we can start having conversations with some of these people so that some of the oil they even sell on their behalf can actually be retained here. But otherwise, all the suggestions made so far are sensible. That going forward, we should start probably looking at the taxes and then do something about them. But more so, strategic conversations with our neighbors to ensure that, at least Nigeria, to ensure that we have some steady flow of oil. Besides, even the IEA is suggesting that look, people should cut back on their energy consumption, and I think it is an important conversation to be had. So look, taxes obviously constitute a higher percentage of the fuel price, and I think we should, at this stage, I think it's really gone beyond the taxes. Really, you can have the taxes removed, but at the same time, availability will be a problem. Which is why I say that going forward, next time, when we have the opportunity, we should invest in our resources rather than waste opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you too, Franklin. We'll come back to you again. Kojo and Duncan, I have this question for you. Any of you can take it up. Why is there a difficulty in trading among ourselves in West Africa in terms of oil that we go to Europe this long distance when we can just do it shortly here? Is it that the Europe crude is different from what the Nigerians, the other countries produce, that we can't take it here and rather want to go to that side?
No, it's about money and capital. It's the availability of moving it around one, and the second is the money. Okay, so when people say that we can't trade among ourselves, like let's use Ghana's crude. And I keep repeating, I said this here before when I said that, you see, there's a law that governs our crude. We've passed laws in Parliament that says that when we sell our crude, within 30 days, the money has to hit the Petroleum Holding Fund. And it is distributed based on a law. If that money doesn't come in the 1 month that it needs to come, you've broken the law. So when you sell the crude, you can only sell the crude to a cash buyer. You can't sell the crude to somebody who's taking it on credit. Now, government of Ghana can decide to give its share of the crude to Tema Oil Refinery, but government of Ghana has to pay for it. If we don't pay for it, then that Petroleum Holding Fund within a space will not get the money as per the law. You need to wait for TOR to finish refining, sell it, mop up the money, then put it where it's supposed to be put. So if something like that is to be done, we need to look at the law that establishes what we do with our crude oil and do something about it. But as per the law, nobody is saying that you can't do anything among ourselves, just that it's cash. When you go to Nigeria, you can take the crude from Nigeria. The G2G arrangement Ghana has with Nigeria is still there, but you need to go and pay cash like everybody else. So not when we say we can't trade among ourselves, it's the credit nature that we live with. You know, in Ghana, most of the trading within the BDCs and OMC, BDCs and the IOTs are all credit. Some people are asking for 30 days, some people are asking for 40 days, some are asking for... So it's a credit system that we have. Our law does not allow for the credit. It allows for somebody that has cash to pay. So when the other majors are lifting, when they lift, they pay us cash, and we use it to do all the things that we need to use it for. So we can trade among ourselves. That's one. The second bit is that when you're moving products around, there's no ship that cabotage among West Africa. So we don't have a dedicated ship that moves product or anything from Nigeria to Ghana or Ghana to Nigeria. If you ship something from Nigeria, it has to go to Antwerp before coming to Ghana.
What?
Yes. There's no direct ship that moves between West Africa. The ships that come in from Europe and come this way, then the route is that it has to go and move the things and put it on the next ship to come down. So there is no shipping among ourselves. That's why I have said that for AFTA to work, we have to look at transportation. Without transportation, there's no AFTA. Try, even in ECOWAS, try going by road with a cargo from Ghana to Nigeria and see the difficulties you have, or Nigeria to Ghana. There was a time when I know one of the breweries tried to bring in canned beer from Nigeria to Ghana. By the time the canned beer got to Ghana, most of the beers were spoiled because the ship has to take it to Belgium, Antwerp, before coming back to Ghana. So that's what I'm saying. For me, I have a problem with these fancy meetings that our leaders go to in the name of AU. Right? What are they talking about? As far back as 2002, my madam, may God rest her soul, Hawa Yakubu, was the chairman for the ECOWAS Transport and Communication. And there was a talk of ECOWAS Airline and ECOWAS Shipping Line and ECOWAS Telecommunication. Because as a bloc, what do we do among ourselves? Today, cargo. There's no air cargo between Ghana and Nigeria. I said DHL. There's no air cargo. There is no proper shipping route in the Gulf of Guinea. There's none. So that is the problem. We live among ourselves, but we roam, right? To go to Togo, to go to Burkina, to go to Nigeria, to go to Ivory Coast. You are roaming. Why? And we've had ECOWAS for how many years? So there are basic challenges that if we want to integrate properly, we need to start from a certain level. Like I said, 25 years ago, there was a talk of ECOWAS telecommunication, ECOWAS shipping, ECOWAS airlines, and all those things. And 25 years now, even the simple thing that we try to do, one currency among ourselves, we've not done it.
I think I defer to him on most of the points made. However, I do think that there's a way around these things.
So not to cut you, assuming we want to buy from Dangote now, it will go through the same route as Kojo is saying?
What I do know is that they do, I have even a cousin called Vicky who does, cruise shipment to Ghana. So it can be done between Ghana, but there's a difference between the vessels. You know, we have the long haul, the bigger ones, those ones that can take 100,000 empty, 200,000 empty. They will just set sail and break bulk for the countries in West Africa, particularly for finished products. For crude, we can get from Nigeria, no issue at all. For crude, we can get from Ghana. And again, when I talk of the broader strategy, I do think that our ministers are not averting their minds to some of these things. Look, back in the days, we were interested in Forex, right? So whatever liftings we do, we want to send it out there, just like we've done with cocoa. We're not interested in recouping on our resources in the local currency. But that is where autonomics, if Atoforsen's economy is anything to go by, should now advise us differently. It is not always about a dollar. You need the money, the big push, right? You may want to pay your contractors in cedi, right? So you don't need a dollar. You are building hospitals. Your contracts are in cedi, right? If I have a lifting to do, if I was the government of Ghana, I will go back to my petroleum service agreements, right? And do some renegotiation in there and insist that, Same, I am retooling TOR. Look, it's a strategy. If you don't put in the right investments in TOR and you play the politics that we continue to play with it, both sides, both governments, right? We only play politics. TOR is working, TOR is back, TOR is doing this. But when you go and check the numbers that MPA itself is publishing, how much is coming from TOR, you will not find it, right? If we don't cut back on the politics and do the heavy lifting, invest in TOR, right? Such that TOR is able to process your crude locally. We are all now talking about Dangote because Nigeria has the crude. And Nigeria has been able to get one of the biggest refineries in the world, right? We had a refinery back in the 60s. We've not been able to retool that refinery to even become more than Kojo, such that just 100,000 barrels per day we could achieve, right? Some, you know what that does? Your fuel security. If TOR is retooled today, you put in the needed investment, get, the desulfurizer, the chamber, reformer chamber, and those things, get the refinery to work as a modern refinery, such that when you put in 1 million barrels, right, your yield or assay should not be 940,000 or 870,000, and you are losing so much. When that happens, the refinery is inefficient. People will avoid it, right? If you put in the right investments and ensure that the refinery is modern or modernized, Ghana's crude could simply be sent there. Whatever monies that you are getting from lifting off to Europe, right, that you are paid the crude for, and then you will send back the same forex, right, to Europe to go and import finished products. So I mean, look, these economics, I have never made sense of them. You will send the raw product, the crude itself, to European refineries to refine, right? The Amsterdam, Antwerp region. Go and pick your product, finished product, which comes at a higher premium, right? So I mean, if your refinery here was working, you have the crude, you have your lifting, you can even ask your Jubilee partners, right, to sell their own liftings to you. You should have a right of refusal, first right of refusal. If you have a need for it, I mean, you negotiate with them and say, oh, look, we'll pay. Find some bond or some money to pay them. Let TOR be processing. The West African market is huge. Look, I was showing Kojo a while ago. Kenya is now turning to Dangote. You know why? Why? Ghana has the same leverage Nigeria has, but we are not utilizing the resources in a way that will benefit all of us. So we'll rather ship crude to Europe, right? Then take $200 million. Then come back and add $200 million. Go and re-import finished products. Sami, did we go, did we come? So there has to be a rethinking, a different thinking altogether around it. The laws can be amended. Kojo is right. Yeah. You cannot continue to hide behind failings of the law to say that because the law says when we do our liftings, the money should hit the Petroleum Holding Fund in a certain time frame. So we must necessarily take it out there, sell for $200 million, right? Then come back to Bank of Ghana and demand $400 million, which is our standard, monthly imports. 400 million, we will sell for 200. The whole year we'll do liftings and get about 800 and something million dollars, right? Go and check how much we are using to import finished products in a year, Sami. Almost 5 billion. You are getting less than $1 billion, right, for your liftings. Then you send 5 billion out. It's a problem that we've dealt with, and our leaders are not probably averting their minds to it. Otherwise, don't burden your economy, right, Sami? Whatever you produce, and I have repeated this, people say Ghana is a net importer. We are a net exporter. The moment you cross the 100,000 barrels that you need daily, and Ghana is able to produce 130,000, 135, 140, 200,000, you are a net exporter.
Okay.
If you were processing on paper, yes. If you were on paper, you are a net exporter. If you are processing even all that you produce daily, you would have a surplus.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
So you cannot be a net importer when you are producing what your net national demand is. Unfortunately, we don't have any need for what we produce. So like the cocoa beans, we will sell crude to the West. Crude though, they will go and refine and add their tolling, add whatever taxes they will add. Don't forget, refineries attract taxes. So if you are buying from Europe, you are not only building their economies, you are building sustainability of those refineries to continue to stay in business. Whilst your refinery remains like this. Sami, there's a need for but
thank you.
Sami, the last point. The one Ghana
Duncan
city.
always has the last point.
the one Ghana city, right? In all sincerity, if it's taken off, it will give us some relief. But it might also be even more crucial now. Listen, the core reason why the energy ministry, the finance ministry put that one city was to pay for fuel for the thermal plants, right? The cost of gas has almost doubled. And so if there was a need in 2025, right, to have money to pay for gas for the thermal plants to keep working, you can imagine the cost of gas today. We may take off the one Ghana city, but that problem would only worsen. Get a better strategy that allows you to now look not only to Dangote, but look for a way to store products so that in the worst case scenario, Sami, you can keep Ghanaians at the 14, 13, 15, 16. If you wait for escalations, we'll bite our tongue.
Okay, you want to make a point in 30 seconds, so we move on to
So news I picked up is that 6th February, NPA started some discussions with Nigeria for us to be able to buy fuel.
6th February?
Yes, 5th February.
You mean 2 months
ago? Just a month ago.
When did that conversation start?
Well, it's online. You can check it out.
Please, my brother. We that we sit here.
MPA CEO, I'm quoting from the MPA CEO.
No, my brother.
Oh, so the CEO cannot make a statement like
that. I Poku is here. Forget online.
Why? So you are the
but I know. No, Duncan. I know Eduji went to Dangote refinery. I know he traveled there. That I know. That I'm aware.
Listen,
he traveled to Dangote refinery.
Let me help him. It is not even the MPA's job. It is not the MPA's job. You only regulate what comes in. It is not your job.
A government.
If it is a government to government, it is the Ministry of Energy. So let's stop. You see, I said earlier that if you want to make excuses and remain optimistic, right? Everything will sound like we are doing something. Everything will sound like, oh, we are doing something. Initially, you had the 5 weeks. Oh, we have 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's 5 week stocks that you don't control. And I repeat, Sami, if you don't have stocks that the government itself controls, that they can use to stimulate the market, it's not the stock. A trading stock.
Okay.
I'm not even supposed to be speaking cheap.
Everybody goes to Nigeria, he will see Dangote.
Oh, come on.
I'm being honest with you.
Come on. There are photographs. Look, there are photographs of Edoji and Listen.
What I'm saying to you is that if Edoji wants to go and discuss, no. I'm just being honest. Listen, if we want to have a conversation, nations have conversations with nations. It's at the ministry level. Edoji is a regulator. He can go to talk to his counterpart in Nigeria. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're saying that Edoji is the one that is going to negotiate lead the negotiation, I'm not belittling your position. By international protocol, it is the minister of energy.
It's the government at the stage of government.
It's the government.
I understand this. Let's be fair to this. Listen.
Governance is different. Let me say a small point. You see, Edoji can go on a certain authority. And I've had a privilege in working with a minister. You see, the president can even give a diplomatic note and communicate to his counterpart that I've arranged for my MPA guy to come and see your guy or somebody. So that one is not.
But let me tell you.
I mean, my worry, because you see, I think that those are, in my view, those are minor offspring parochial issues. Because Duncan, let me.
Duncan, wait, let's
this so-called Dangote coming into the picture. Dangote capacity it cannot even feed the
Nigerian market. So
what
and
are you
he
talking
will go
about?
commercial with you.
What are we talking about?
He will go commercial like Europe.
Christmas,
Forget
from
it.
October, November, Dangote had to even fight. And you remember?
Yes.
He went dirty. I was in Nigeria recently. He went dirty, got rid of somebody before he could even get some reasonable quantities to refine. So let's be, we can be talking.
But his refinery, I'm told, is projected to produce close to 650,000.
The Ghanaian market is consuming about 100,000.
So let's
100,000
with our 30 million. Imagine Nigeria.
So that he can't.
180 almost 200 million.
The important
30
point
million.
is
We are
that
consuming
we can
100,000.
have medium to long term strategies to build sustainability. But at the moment, what we are all saying is that in the foreseeable future, the impact that we see happening, it may be disastrous if we don't have immediate buffers in place to deal with what is coming.
Okay.
So government action has to be structured in a way that you face it in a phased approach. You don't go and talk to Dangote that, in 2028 I will start some importing finished product from you. I mean, 2026 we still have about 9 months to go.
Thank you. You're still watching The Big Issue, coming to you live from our studios here, live on the city. Okay, I need to go for a break, but you do that in 30 seconds. You give me 30 seconds before I go for a break.
So they made the point that it's government to government, which I agree, that at the minister level will be a minister of energy from Ghana, perhaps with a minister of energy in Nigeria, his counterpart minister. But Dangote is a private person. I'm talking about a regulator in Ghana having a conversation with a private person in Nigeria for the supply of finished products from Nigeria.
The regulator does not have the money.
And then, he could initiate the conversation. He could initiate the conversation because what I've been saying here, we're saying that it will be easier for Ghana to consider other sources of finished products. Yes. We're saying that he could initiate the conversation for Ghana to have a supply from Nigeria, and that conversation has begun. That is what I was putting out there.
And they didn't allow you to make a point. All right, thank you. Thank you. You're also watching The Big Issue, coming to you live from our studios here, and also live on City 97.3 FM. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll still stay with the minority because there's an accusation of state capture. Whatever it is, we'll discuss it.
Feel the energy and reconnect with your roots this March at the Back to Your Village Food Festival 2026. Join us for a celebration of Ghanaian culture and cuisine from all across the country. Northern, Akan, and Southern villages will all be represented. It's more than just food. It's about culture, family, and memories that last a lifetime. Let's come together this March to discover the flavors that make us who we are. The date is 28th and 29th of March 2026. Venue is the 8th Sutherland Children's Park. The time is 10 a.m. through till 6 p.m. each day. Interested vendors can register by calling 0205-973-973. The Back to Your Village Food Festival 2026 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 City FM and is proudly sponsored by EcoBank, Gino, Didi Sheto, and Munchie Biscuits.
This Easter, as homes fill with laughter, shared meals, and love, pause for a moment and remember a child who has no one to celebrate with. Across Ghana, children in selected orphanages are hoping for care, hoping for comfort, hoping for kindness. You can be the reason a child smiles this Easter. Support the Easter Orphan Project 2026. Your donation in cash or in kind will provide warm meals, clothing, school supplies, and essential care for their well-being. Send your mobile money donation to 0550-900-006 or write a check in the name of the City FM Foundation. You may also bring your donation to Channel 1 TV in Tesano, Accra, Ghana. You can donate milk, sugar, rice, toys, books, or detergent. For more information, visit www.citynewsroom.com or call 0550 900 006 or 0302 226 013. The Easter Fund project comes off on Monday, 6 April 2026 and is powered by 97.3 City FM with support from Channel 1 TV. This Easter, let your kindness light up a child's life.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Issue, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. It's also live on City 97.3 FM. This week, an issue that dominated media conversation is the re-registration of SIM cards. The Minister of Communication held a stakeholder meeting and told the media and those who matter why there's a need to re-register our SIM card, an exercise that was done in 2022 and 2023. He says the exercise was flawed with a number of issues and it's about time we re-register our SIM card to, one, protect Ghanaians and also protect us from fraudulent activities. But the Minister of Communications, former, who supervised the previous one, the 2022-2021, Madam Esle Kufu, has come out strongly, debunking assertions that there were flaws in the previous registration exercise. According to her, 80% of the target was or were met as far as the registration exercise was concerned. So there's no need really for us to have a re-registration of SIM card. But some judge says that is not true, that was not done. It was flawed with a number of issues to the extent that even the National Identification Authority that was supposed to be involved in this whole exercise was not. There was a feud between the then Communications Minister and the CEO of the National Identification Authority, Professor Ken Atifa. President John Dramani Mahama has also waded into the debate. He says Ghanaians should have patience with the government because this new set of registration is going to be the best one that Ghana has ever done in protecting the identity of SIM card holders and protecting us against fraudulent activity. But the question we ask again, can't we build on the previous registration that was done in 2022 and 2023 and then start a new one altogether when we've already invested time, resources in the previous one? If there were gaps or there were flaws, can't we correct those gaps and continue with the process, or maybe deal with whatever it is than having a whole process altogether again, spend resources, time, and get it done? That's the conversation we're having at this segment. And I'll start with you. Do we need new registration or re-registration?
I will emphatically say where I sit. I don't think the approach that the government is adopting is a productive one. And I agree with the conclusions drawn by your editorial team. First, what are the key issues? For where I think I have my perspective, there are three things that the NDC government raised. The first one is data integrity. The second one is inadequate or lack of institutional coordination. And then I also will add that the way we allocate resources, we have to be more prudent in doing that. As you rightly said, is that the best way to approach these key or critical mistakes that we endure under the 2022-2023 SIM re-registration? I think that we can rather do a building on than restarting the whole process. Because one, Mr. Honorable Sam George has not told us the budget or the funds that we're going to spend, the public funds that we're going to spend in doing that. Two, I believe too there is public fatigue in going through that process, long queue, sitting under scorching sun just to get my SIM registered. So I think that the telcos should have been brought on the table to rethink the process that we went through in 2022-2023 and and fashion out new measures that can help improve that. Because now the key challenge or problem that has been narrated to us, or if you follow the narrative behind this call for SIM re-registration, it's all about the data is not merging.
It's not in sync, yeah.
So you have your Ghana card, and you have some people who own SIM or have been able to register with other people's Ghana card, and so they can use it for fraudulent activities. But you see, we must also always look at the effect on the public purse as well as the effect on the Ghanaian, northern Ghanaian. How is this person going to go through a process of going through another queue, producing
But as
an
I'm just saying
ID
this time,
card?
there's not going to be queue. You will sit in the comfort of your home and do it.
You do it online.
Yeah.
If that is the case, at what cost? Because you see, you have to juxtapose that. If he's come out with a new methodology or a new technique in doing that, at what cost? Because you haven't been told that. If it's going to be so expensive to do that, I will not support that. And as I did say, I think the stakeholders have not been involved in this new approach. We've not been told. He just mentioned the fact that we can sit anywhere and do it. You don't need to do a queue. And we all know, because I use a simple app called Truecaller, and I sometimes receive calls, and there is a tag of fraudulent call and other things.
Or scammer.
Or scammer, you know. It means that people own SIM cards that they haven't registered, or they've registered, but the cards, the telcos have been able to identify.
But is that not the
So
problem?
why don't we?
Is that not what the telcos? That's what the telcos is supposed to do.
So the telcos, for example, in one way, should be given a mandate that any SIM card in the system that cannot be traced to a valid Ghana card or Ghana card number should be suspended for the owner to come and validate. So the onus is on limited number of Ghanaians to pay a price for doing something right or for not taking any action at all. So that the majority of us who are good citizens, who have gone through the process in 2022, 2023 to register their SIM, can be left free. So that I don't need to even go through buying data. And some John thinks that sitting in my somewhere to register is easy. Charlie, there are bros who are in the system who cannot even switch on their data. That's the life we are living in. So we have to be, we have to be circumspect in fashioning our policies. And I think that we have to reinterrogate the program again. Because now, I think they have parliamentary approval to proceed. But that shouldn't end there. I was expecting Parliament to ask him for more detail. How are you going to get this executed? Because the devil is in the detail. If we don't get that, and we just give him a blanket space, because NDC has overwhelming majority to pass through some of these things that are major promises in their manifesto, we will turn around and see that we are overburdening our constituents. And that is where revolt will happen. So I agree with the conclusion of the editorial team, that I think that they are not, the Ministry of Communications and Innovation and I think digitization have not been innovative enough. They should come. I'm waiting. I hope by Monday or Tuesday he will tell us step-by-step approach getting this thing done, so that we can have a better interrogation and maybe kick against it for him to go back and rethink the process and come up with a more creative means of having a SIM registered.
Look, I think as a country we are not angry enough. No, seriously, we are not angry enough. You know, we tend to make it look like somebody, when becomes a minister, all of a sudden is the authority on everything. He's not. Sam George, when he was in opposition, we've seen the videos, right? Yeah. How he bastardized the other registration that was being done. He was in Parliament. He was a ranking member. He didn't offer any proper input, whatever. And he just did videos and with his friends and laughed at the process. Today, he's minister. And Sam John thinks he knows more than us.
No, he said he only criticized
how
it was
he
done.
Can justify what he
how
wants to.
How it was done, but not the entire registration.
My brother, please. What is Sam George trying to achieve? Do we know? What is he trying to achieve? What is SIM registration? And what are we trying to achieve? Very simple. I have a number. That number should be registered should be tied to my Ghana card. And when I register the number, they take my biometrics, which the biometric data exists on my Ghana card. In actual fact, in a very open and level-headed society, nobody should be asked to do any SIM registration when you have a Ghana card. Do you know why? Because it's a two-way communication. The minute I have a Ghana card and I have a number and I give my Ghana card number to the telco, they should pull my biometric data from where it is stored. That's where it ends. All I need to do, you've heard the police recently saying that now don't carry your license again, right? Just give them your number and they have a system, they can pull or driver's license details. If there is a two-way communication data access, I give my Ghana card to a telco. I want a SIM card. What's your Ghana card number? I give my Ghana card and they take. The telco should be able to pull my biometrics. So Sam George is telling us that we've done that exercise in the first place, where we all went through strenuous activities of going to get our data captured. Though that same data is captured by NIA. And I didn't understand for the likes of me why we had to basically do it again. But we did as a nation, right? We all went through it and captured our details again. Then Sam George comes in and tells us that we have to capture our details again. For who? NIA has our biometrics. Who is Sam George going to capture the data for? Let's be honest with ourselves. We are not angry enough as a nation, so everybody does what he thinks he wants to do. NIA, today, everybody with Ghana card, they have our biometrics. So you want to capture it again for who? Let's ask that question. Who are you capturing the data for? If I'm not a Ghanaian, then I don't have a Ghana card. But if the telcos are not lazy, and you, the minister, you're not in cahoot with the telcos not to do their job, then don't come and worry us Ghanaians. Because all the telcos need to do is that before I bought that number, I gave them a Ghana card. They should just match it with NIA.
Not always the case.
No, but I'm saying if it's not always the case, that's not my problem. You see,
there are gaps.
My brother, that gap is not my problem. Technology exists. Technology exists for that not to be my problem. That's the simple thing I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if somebody also have now used my Ghana card details to buy a SIM card, the education the Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Communication is supposed to do is that thing where there is a short code where you put on your phone, all the numbers registered on your SIM card comes up. We should be promoting that short code so every Ghanaian will do that SIM card, and if the number doesn't belong to you, you now block it.
Report it.
Report it or block it. Allow me the opportunity to block it. Right? Because if everybody is to report it, those people at the Telecel and MTN offices, they are the ones doing that thing with the fraudsters. When we were doing the registration, you go, they do something, then they do it. They are the ones doing the fraudsters. So the technology is far advanced that you can give me a short code or an app where I go on, I put in my Ghana card number, all the numbers registered to me comes up. I choose the one that is mine, and the one that is not mine, I block it. Simple. In a day, everybody can sanitize the system so that fraudsters can stop using people's IDs to do this. So this whole idea of Sam George telling us that we have to do a registration, and his concern is that it's not a real registration, it's a registration. Who gives a toss? Who gives a toss? My problem, you see, that's your problem. You see, he's the minister. Let me tell you, let me land. He made that statement. Let me land on this topic. Call the people from NCA and see if they even know what is going on. They are even confused. Yes,
they can't be confused.
I'm telling you,
Kojo, listen, at this stakeholder engagement, hold on. At this stakeholder engagement, where Sam George held with the NCA and officials of the NIA, the current executive secretary.
Who spoke?
Yaira. I think his name is Yaira Koku. That's his name.
Who spoke?
He was present.
Hold on, who spoke?
Sam George spoke.
Who else
the
spoke?
NCA Director General spoke. And Yaya Koku also spoke.
Who is he?
He's the State Secretary of the National Identification Authority.
No, we see.
He's an NGC.
Listen, I'm telling you that, my brother, on your own, call your contacts within the NCA and listen to them.
But they say, Kojo, in 2022, Professor Kenneth Tifua also came out to say that he also was not aware about this SIM card registration. I'm not doing equalization. I am not. But it looks like, hold on. It looks like there is a systematic problem because in the past, that was the issue Kenneth Tifua raised. Now you're also raising a similar issue. So it means that there is a systemic problem.
And the systemic problem should be solved at the top and leave us Ghanaians out of it. That's the point. What I'm saying to you is that on your own, pick up a phone. If you have contacts within the NCA, speak to them. They are as confused as we are because they don't even know the app that they intend to use. They don't even know what the bro. Me customer chose you.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you.
We have integrity. We have integrity. We don't sit on national television and say some of these things without making calls. My problem is that today, right? They can put a bunch of experts around the table who are very IT savvy, and they will give you one app in less than 2 days that will solve your problem without having to worry about Ghanaians. Without having to worry Ghanaians. And the app will work on its own without... It would work perfectly without you having to... You see, what I'm saying to you is that the only thing that every Ghanaian needs to do is to go online, put your number, see the numbers of SIMs that are registered to you that is not yours, and block it. That's the only thing we have to do. The rest, those that have new cards, go and put your... Because if you don't have a Ghana card, you can't have a Ghana number. You can't have a phone number. Everybody has a phone number because they have a Ghana card. If people have numbers that is registered in other people's name, the sanitization you need to do is to allow me that the Ghana card is mine to take off numbers that doesn't belong to me. That's all you need to do, because what I'm saying is that why are we concerned about whether it's a re-registration or it's a registration? What are we trying to achieve?
The other justification he gave was, as at 2023, not every Ghanaian had a Ghana card.
But when they got a Ghana card...
I'm coming, Kojo, I'm coming.
Okay.
Not everybody had a Ghana card.
Okay.
Now, 2026, majority of Ghanaians have Ghana card.
Okay.
And so it's about time they do the registration.
Okay, so let the banks, you know what the banks do? You go to your bank one day and they said, oh, you've not linked they block your account, that you've not linked your
account to your Ghana card.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to bring your Ghana card. Why can't they do the same for their phones? So if there are people with numbers who don't have Ghana card linked to it, why don't the telco just block it and ask them to come in and do it? Why? My point is that some of us are busy. My mother in Kumasi goes to the market. She doesn't have time to go in and do anything else. She's done her job. No, doesn't matter. She doesn't have time to do anything else. My point is that in the banks, if you have not linked your Ghana card to your account, the bank asks you that you cannot access your account if you don't come and link your Ghana card. We all go through that with the banks. If the telcos feel that their account numbers that are not linked to Ghana card, they should ask the account numbers, they should block it, put a hold on it, so that they go and link their Ghana card.
But the point I see you driving at is not being personal, by saying that the nation's scarce resources should not be allocated in repeating policies, projects, and programs that lead to no benefit to the ordinary Ghanaian.
Now, who took that memo to cabinet?
That's why I'm saying that we have a responsibility.
Thank you. So the person that you mentioned his name. Let's stop doing this thing. What the person that took it, you mentioned his name, Sam George.
But your MPs also didn't put up that fight.
My MP did it. Ghanaians took us out. You see, let's stop this thing.
No. But you have responsibility in parliament.
No, but the president in parliament, the super major minority, what can we do? 87 people, they come and
what was
their
position? You see the fire argument you are making, they didn't make that argument.
But the point I'm saying is that do they allow them to even make this submission and do they listen? Let's not stop this thing.
But the current process is being led by the NCA and the National
Identification Authority. It is being directed by the minister. Let's stop
the
this
minister
thing.
is just supervising the process.
No, but the minister is not taking...
But ideally, is the NCA and the NIA which is doing this. Yes,
it is the minister's.
He's the one supervising.
No, it is a Sam George agenda. Just stop this thing. It is Sam George.
Sammy, is it done?
No,
I'm saying we can react.
Let's move this on.
No, you are.
I'll pass you for
now. See, Kojo, I think you should relax and appreciate some of these things. I mean, there's no point in us raising our voices and getting worked up over this. The call for registration is very important. If you observe the gaps in the registration exercise that was conducted, and now we have confirmation that there is data integration issues where there are SIM cards that are registered, but they are not properly linked to Ghana cards, particularly with biometric details of persons who own those SIM cards. So sometimes you have some fraudulent activity taking place, and then your card is used. And you know how sometimes they get your card. You go to a place to do a simple transaction, they require your card to, a photocopy of your card to be made. When they take your card and run the photocopy, eventually your card is used to register several SIM cards on the market. Somebody can just go and buy that SIM card, use it, perhaps sometimes in some fraudulent transactions, and then your name is connected to it. But at the time of registration of that SIM card with your ID, Ghana card, your biometric wasn't part. The biometric is what will give the verification and now integrate the registration properly so that it is linked to you. Now, to resolve this issue, there's a call for all of us to have re-registration, which would at least help us to sanitize the whole situation, reduce the likelihood of people using other people's SIM cards for fraud. And I have, as a lawyer, I've had situations where persons have appeared in court charged with offenses they have no knowledge about, because at least their cards were used for those transactions without their knowledge, without their involvement in any court. They are not beneficiaries of those transactions, but they got themselves involved in it. Now, we talk about two other things, inconvenience and then cost. Luckily for us, this registration exercise is not what we experienced in the past, where we have to queue up at MTN offices and other places to go through the process. Now we have been asked to use an app. You sit at the comfort of your office or your home, you download the app, go through the processes, the code is given, you upload the code, and then there you go. That's it, as simple as that. You don't need to go and queue up as we experienced in the past. You don't need to carry our old ladies to go and sit at MTN offices for hours going through difficulties. No more. We just go through a simple exercise by sitting at home and getting done. I know that it will come with some data costs because you need to have data to be able to do that. We'll manage it. Now, my brother mentioned cost to the Ghanaian. Yeah. I am told, and I've read from the website, that it's 5 cedis per registration of a SIM card. That is the cost of the registration exercise. And this cost is not being borne by the individuals. I'm told the telecoms are absorbing the cost. And so eventually, it won't come at any cost to us. It will cost 5 cedis to register a SIM card, and it's not a cost to the Ghanaian public. Now, he keeps mentioning the Ministry of Communication. Ministry of Communication is a lead ministry in the policy implementation, but the main agency for the implementation is the NCA and NIA. And there's been conversations that shows that there's proper stakeholder involvement and they are properly engaged. Unlike what we've had in the past, where Professor Kenatefo himself has confirmed that he did not know about what was going on. It is confirmed now that the head at National Education Authority and the NCA are working together hand in hand to ensure that this exercise is done and done well. Think about the general good of this exercise, and that it would eliminate the likelihood of fraud. It will eliminate the likelihood of people using other people's SIM card to transact businesses that may lead to some people into trouble. It would also help to create some integration and give credibility to the entire registration exercise. And so we should, as much as possible, encourage it, participate, and ensure that the exercise is done and done to help all of us. Eventually, when the registration is completed, you and I will be protected. I mean, we are concerned that it may come at some inconvenience to us, but the inconvenience in this case is minimized because of the lack of physical, the absence or the taking away of the physical presence and using virtual systems to do it. I mean, you call, Kojo on the other hand is saying that, oh, there are processes that we can use, apps and softwares that we can use without necessarily getting Ghanaians involved. But mind you, we have data sitting on one hand at the National Education Authority, which has our biometrics and our Ghana card details. And then at the telecoms, they also have details of our phone cards without necessarily the biometrics. Now we need to be able to match up the biometrics. And the former minister Ursula, who sued herself, confirms that about 80% of what was done was successful, and there's a gap of 20%.
But you can't always have a perfect system.
Absolutely, 20% is very significant.
But you can't always have a perfect system.
Exactly, 20% is very significant.
Especially when this is new. It was new at that time.
Exactly, it's very significant. And she confirms that indeed there's some lapses in the integration of data from National Education Authority and the NTA. And so to cure this mischief and to ensure that we don't have this thing reoccurring again, we are being asked to go back and do registration. I don't think this would be a big deal for anybody to complain about, sincerely.
Sammy, can I ask a question? Are we doing verification or registration?
Registration.
Okay.
And as part of registration, but you ask the question, don't you want the answer?
Let me give an example.
You ask the question, don't you want Kojo? Let me provide you all the answers so that you don't need to give the question.
So I want to be educated. So let me
the verification is part of the registration process.
I have Duncan's Ghana card details. We are doing a registration. Then I input his Ghana card number, and I put my registration, my biometrics in the system with Duncan's Ghana card number because it's a registration, and I register. Then what happens next?
It won't go through.
Why is that?
It won't go through because your biometric will not match with that.
So we are doing a verification, not a registration.
I say that. Listen to me. You didn't allow me to answer. Kojo, TMA. You didn't allow me to answer your questions initially. You said, "Is it verification or registration?" I said, "It is registration, but verification is a component of the registration because you need to verify the details, the biometrics of the individual who is registering as part of the registration process. If I take your Ghana card to register, I could use that, but I cannot get your biometric. My face will not match with your details. My thumbprint will not match with your details. So the registration will not go through. So as part of the registration process, we'll go through a verification exercise to get the system completed." Do you appreciate it now?
Now you see why you're confused.
What is he saying? He's confused.
No, but you see what he's talking about. Now let's be honest with ourselves. What he's talking about can easily be achieved without necessarily me. Because when I bought the SIM card, in the database of the telco, there is an already input biometric. Why can't the telco verify it with NIA?
That biometric is misleading. That biometric is
Sami, you know, in Ghana here, acquiring a SIM card is the easiest thing you can do.
I agree.
I'm coming. You can walk into any of these agencies
and they take your biometrics.
And they will just give you the SIM card.
They take your biometrics.
Unlike elsewhere, I've bought a SIM card in the UK before. My sister had to use an ID,
bro. What I'm
or
saying
something
to
to get, but that is not the same
here.
here.
Who buy a SIM card, they use their phone to take your biometrics. Every SIM card. But the point they are making is that
everywhere.
No, what he's saying is
I'm even providing him details that will help to resolve this issue.
So hold on. If there are numbers that doesn't have biometrics, don't you think those are the ones that they should deal with? They should block those.
Sammy, they
should block numbers without biometrics.
Wait. There's some data integrity issue here. Now you have people who have been able to register SIM cards using ID cards of other persons. Now, if I take an ID card, because the telcos don't have our biometric as their background information, I'm able to register a SIM card using your name, for instance, your ID card, and using my face to register it. So what it means is that in the system at the telcos, it's a misleading information. The information bearing your name, Kojo, but having my picture there.
Okay.
So what we will need is to be able to now integrate that. Okay. If you go to NIA database, that database cannot link to yours because what you have at the telcos there has only somebody's name and another person's image.
Right.
So to make it easy now, we need to do it all afresh.
No,
now you have
all you do when you sync. You don't need to do that.
No.
When you sync this data with this data, it will cancel those numbers. It will cancel it. It will cancel it.
Very important. See,
my brother, it will cancel it.
My position is that we are leading a nation. We have responsibility to be thorough. Okay, I think that is what we are refusing to do, and we've been doing that. That is the reason why Duncan said earlier. We spent 200,000, and then we have excitement to spend 400 million. You see, that is the thinking, and I perfectly agree with you. That was the point I made earlier. Maybe I didn't state it clearly. My position is that pass that responsibility to the minority who are having problem with data conflict to resolve that issue. But don't say that we are scrapping everything we've done and going to
Start all over
spend
again.
our time, if even it's coming at zero cost, spend our time, spend executive time, go through the process of enactment, amendment in parliament. You see, there is opportunity cost for that. And that is the way leaders will make decisions. And I think that this so-called SIM re-registration, validation, registration is bogus. We need to rethink. Although it's gone through parliament, the minister must show us that the Ghanaians give them power to exercise it rightly. And in exercising that power, they have to be creative and innovative. I don't think that this will lead us anywhere. And as Sammy said, you arrive at Heathrow, you can't get a SIM card with your passport. I know that they are advanced, but the point you are making is right. But I believe, I haven't interrogated the data, but I believe it will not be more than 20% of the case. So why worry the 80%? Why worry the 80%? I think we need the rethinking.
But hold on, let me go on Zoom and speak to Franklin Kujo, because I remember somewhere in December last year, they filed an RTI to request details of this whole new SIM card registration. Franklin, thank you again for your time. And in December last year, I know very well that you filed an RTI seeking details of this whole re-registration process. Did you get any response in that respect?
Oh, no, not at all. And I think I'm sure if my good brother, the minister, had answered those questions, would have put to rest whether he needed this or not. He actually did not answer. I think the NIA answered, but they obviously scattered around the issues. The minister obviously refused to answer the questions. And as you realize, those questions were very detailed, covered almost 360 degrees of all the things we are discussing now. I mean, we analyzed almost 15 years, if you like, of, should I call it 16 years of policy failure, which, I mean, you remember the SIM registration started somewhere in 2010, thereabout. And we've been in that battle because the reasons given at each point in time keeps changing. But I must admit, though, that even though the last administration was basically a clown show in terms of the Ministry of Communications, the sort of things they did, much of it was all procurement geared. That in itself did not attain what they wanted to do, because again, it was not done. It was probably done, I would say that somehow they achieved about 50% of their goals. And unfortunately, as it is with everything in Africa, most of the times, continuity is always a problem. You know, if we had proper data integrity, I mean, the data was probably, should I call it, evaluated and actually analyzed by independent actors, not just the state. Because at this stage, it's just some judge and his agents telling us that, oh, the data there is decrepit, there's no proper, it's very difficult to tell exactly what they have. I must admit, though, that the fact that they brought on the NIA verification and all of that, which was the most sensible thing to do, by the way, was just that you have all these cards, as our colleagues have said on the show, you have all these registered cards. It's just easy to just transmit the same data, unless, because you are saying that the biometric, whatever captures biometric data, and varies at each point in time. And at least I can say that 50% of that data is intact and is preserved. The only reason why they didn't achieve that full, should I even be saying this? I think the only reason why we didn't have proper audits of that process is that we just don't know. I mean, the minister declared she declared victory and then left the whole process. And now some judge comes and says, okay, I've seen.
Hello, Franklin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's still I was saying that the problem with my good friend Sam Joy is that he's not paid due fidelity to the issue, because we asked him what exactly is the amount of data, should I call it, variation. He's not been able to tell us, and that's what we're trying to elicit from the RTI. Unfortunately, we can't continue in this thing. I mean, the way it's like the conversation about free SHS, right? I remember when we told my good friend Anado, after asking us to help review the policy into 2020, he said, look, Mr. President, well, he wasn't president at the time. We said, Nana, I think it's better to do means testing and then give people those who can pay to pay. He said, no, there's corruption in the country. If you manage to take all the money, you can feed everybody free SHS, which you couldn't argue against it, right?
Hello, Franklin.
Let's not. Sorry, I think it's the network.
So George is making sure you can talk.
I can hear you, Poku. So George is making sure I can talk. I think it's the network generally. I'm just trying to say that, unfortunately, my good brother Sam George has not done.
You see, he mentions some Georgia like
Frankly, still be having some challenges with this.
I'm saying that the gap that exists. Hello, let me just quickly end. So, oh dear.
Franklin, we are listening to you.
Some George has captured the airwaves. Anyway, I'm just saying that. So the gap that exists, we don't know. So it looks as if my good friends at NI and who are just blanched and they're also just nodding their heads in unison because some judge says so. We don't know. There's no measurement. We don't know exactly what gap you're measuring. And because we don't know the extent of the gap, you said, and we should all do it again. That's not a good approach to doing sound public policy. But somehow I can understand him. The previous person has also given us exactly what the extent of the gap is. Maybe we would have known and then probably fix it. It's just lazy thinking in this part of our world when it comes to policy. There's no connection. There's just policy.
So, frankly, you believe that it's really unnecessary for us to have this whole exercise again?
I think it is highly unnecessary for everybody to get to do it because, as I can tell, at least 50% of people actually have their data already connected. And I think we should just not, and that's not a good approach to doing sound public policy. Unfortunately, well, I won't say it's procurement driven because some seems like that it's not procurement driven, but it's a lazy approach, really.
Franklin, thank you very much. Franklin Kudjo's president of Imani Africa. We'll come back to you again. Duncan, I'll finish this round with you.
As a consumer-centric person. I would want to believe that the Ghanaian probably is doing too many registrations, too many.
And our biometrics are being taken almost everywhere you go.
Where the annoying bit is when you go for banking services.
Exactly.
Every
we are doing deposits. You are taking your biometrics.
And then I'm like, what is more indicative of me than me being here? I'm here. Your system data and everything indicates I'm the account holder. Yet I need to do some, come on, we are becoming a country obsessed with everything biometrics at this point. It is okay.
But for me, my fear is, where does it all go?
I don't know.
That's my fear.
People are rather buying some of these data, and so you'll be there, you are getting all kinds of ads sent to you. I do think that from a consumer perspective, we should ease down a bit on the stresses that we give the Ghanaian as far as regulatory issues are concerned. Every time there's got to be one way to prove that you are a Ghanaian or prove that this is me, Samir Riafe, right? I was thinking that there will be some integration of data, particularly the NIA data, because of the rigorous nature of, registering for NIA. And so if I've gone through all of that to capture every biometric data possible and every other data possible, including house location and all of that, right? For me to link probably my SIM registration with my bio data, I do think that it just should be off, the curve. What I have with NIA being seamlessly linked with what I have as a SIM card. The point Kojo made, and then my brother also highlighted earlier, to the extent that, look, if you have a system that can track SIM cards that clearly do not have any matching, it becomes easier. If you also allow people the opportunity to just go out there, put your Ghana card number on a platform, the platform generates the number of SIM cards that have been registered onto that. And then you can flag some of those numbers not belonging to you.
it saves all of us that time.
Yeah.
Then the telcos can flag those numbers and insist that if it is indeed, it says that Kojo Poku is the holder of this SIM card. Kojo says, I'm not the holder, right? So the telco flags the number. If it is indeed Kojo, then Kojo would have to go through a certain process to reactivate the number. I think that that should be done. More so, technology has also advanced. At this point, when I get even normal text, right, where it's coming from a spam, you have technology telling you, you know, a spam call. And sometimes your phones are able to even move some of the messages and calls to spam. So numbers have been flagged. I think that we should help technology to evolve without having to waste the Ghanaians' time. If we think that going by this exercise is the only way we can clean up the system, explain to Ghanaians further, because I don't think all of us are that convinced yet. I don't think all of us see the need, right, in going back to re-verify, re-queue for numbers that for me, I've used my number for almost 20 years, right? A single number. I don't have any other number. If I now have to go through another process to verify the same number that I have used, maybe it's a problem. Maybe too, like my brother Lamting said, you can't have a situation where the security I heard the police commander say that you could be charged for an offense that you don't even have any idea of. So I was not surprised when he said that in court. People now come and are charged for offenses that they don't know because some SIM cards are registered in their names. The two situations can be married and decoupled. If you gave all of us, you know, a code to text to and input my Ghana number, my Ghana card number, to see how many SIM cards are registered under my Ghana card number, so that would be a far easier process for me. I can sit anywhere within a minute, check if these numbers that have been registered using my Ghana card number don't belong. I flag all of them. I send the report back to the short code you gave me.
But there's a gap between that time and when something can happen.
True. But at least, you see, it's a good start.
From 2023 to now.
Yes, but it's a good start. So that we can decouple or remove some of those, spam numbers without us having to go through all that process. When you do that, Sami, you may be able to get to about 70%, 80% sanity, because the spams are not more than, you know, the regular day numbers or users. Once you get to 80%, the remaining 20 would now have to come and deal with the system, right? If you find some of the West African nationals that come in, they don't have a Ghana card number, so people have to use other people's Ghana card numbers to register for them. And you say that you will not decouple your Ghana card from an unknown number. Then you are signing up for the court issues or the police or the criminal issues. But I think that Ghanaians should be given that option so that I can sit in the comfort of your studio, go through a certain code, take out any numbers that are registered with my Ghana card, flag them, so that we sanitize the system once and for all. Otherwise, the registration, re-registration. Today, my brother Sam George is taking the flag from Kojo and others because he's the minister. Tomorrow, Sami Riafi becomes the minister. The same problem exists. Sami says that we need to go through a registration. Look, we are tired. Let's make progress. Let's use technology. Allow people to indicate which numbers that have been assigned to their Ghana card numbers belongs to them, what doesn't belong to them. Which doesn't belong to us, allow the telcos to sanitize, the system. The numbers, they will block them. If I come out and I'm also able to prove that, look, I am Duncan Amoa, this is my Ghana card. As you can see, if you enter the Ghana card, every information about me will definitely come. And I insist that is the number I've been using. Then you can adjudicate that process as a telco and restore the number. Anything other than this, honestly, will be wasting Ghanaians' time.
Could you believe this is a political thing sort of than a national thing?
It's not a political thing. It's an individual thing. I don't know why people try. It's an individual ego thing. It's a minister's ego. What is manifesto about? What is the manifesto about? Hold on. What is manifesto about registration of SIMs? What's the manifesto
they
about
made
it?
that promise.
What promise is that?
But I don't agree with them.
What is the manifesto? What is the manifesto about it?
Move away from personalizing. It's a policy of government.
Hold on, my brother. You see, what I'm saying is that in this country, we make people that we give positions to be bigger than life, and they are not. Let's put that on record.
On this table, we are not.
You understand? We are allowed to criticize. People think that when you criticize, you have a problem with somebody. When you become a minister of a sector, even things that everybody is pushing for, you can sit and educate and say that this. We have all said the same thing, that there is a better way to go about it. He clearly said that when he went to cabinet, he had a tough time at cabinet. Didn't he say that? Meaning that at cabinet, most people didn't agree with him.
Oh, to have a tough time on a matter.
Yes, but my point is that because you need to convince around the table.
And eventually he got a
I wasn't there. You and I were not there. That's fine. But my point is that if I could do Poko to sit around that table, and I do disagree, and mostly when ministers stick to their guns and they prove whatever, yes, maybe he'll get his way. But he himself said that he has a tough time around cabinet with this issue. So it tells you that people feel that there is a better way to go around it, even among us. My brother feels, Duncan feels that there is a much better way than a registration or a re-registration. There is no need for it.
I think we all agree that there's registration or verification, but not perhaps the approach.
Exactly.
But then now there's no queuing.
Yeah.
If your worry is about queuing, there's no queuing.
Forget queuing or no queuing. My point is that, you see, and I want to take this opportunity to say good morning to Dr. Baumia. Look, let me say this. Dr. Baumia launched what is called a Citizens app. Do you remember?
I do.
The Citizens app was supposed to be a one centralized portal for all government businesses, so that you only do once entry.
And that
you don't need it. Hold on. No. You see, yes. So when you go to the Ghana, when you go to the Citizens app and you input your information once, that central database exists for all government agencies. So you don't have to go to here, fill a form, go here, fill a form, go, because your system is already there. The point I'm making is that if we were to go by continuity, you can even achieve what you are trying to do through the Citizens app.
Sammy, that is the same as some George
registration.
Same.
No, but I'm saying even if you can achieve that through the Citizens app.
No, but I'm saying that we don't need a Citizens app because the Ghana card went through a legislative process, and it's been established. So bringing up another app is the same as some George approach. Procurement thinking.
But you know the Citizens
no,
app
we can.
But you know what it does?
No, you just explained that. Listen, you explained that everybody can go there, but every institution can go to the Ghana card.
No, hold on. The Ghana card is the base of Citizens app. Listen, do you know today you can be given a speeding license, a speeding ticket by the police? Have you gotten a text before where you get a text for overspeeding?
No, but you have to be careful because they've been educating out on the fraud.
But you know some fraudsters have gotten involved in that.
Listen, no, it's not.
But the police came out. They arrested about 5 or 6 individuals on this matter.
I am making a point. The point I'm making is that, I am making that point that you didn't listen. What I'm saying is that the Citizen app is a centralized .gov platform for government where all government businesses sit on one platform. Where if the police gives you IRA, GRA, everybody that you need to deal with, right? You don't need to go to various platforms to do one job. You can do everything from the Citizens app. That was launched. Because they don't want to give the digitalization credit to Dr. Baumia, they've kept it.
Well, that is
and we're using it.
Why did you get a lot to market?
It's not difficult.
It's backed by law.
1 minute. You see, the point is that now
it's backed by law.
Now, Sammy,
you guys are not using it.
If you are entering the
you're not promoting it.
You are entering the SNATE system for the first time. They use your Ghana card number.
Yeah.
Because the Ghana card is like biometric, unique to you. So the Citizen app is completely irrelevant. Like the Sam George approach. Please let me finish. You listen. You said that the Citizen app basically is going to congregate all. But let me tell you that I'm saying that the Ghana card is serving the same purpose because now if you are entering SNET, you don't need a SNET number like we used to.
Yes.
Now, if the police need to integrate, they just have to fine-tune their system to build into the Ghana app. So the Ghana card should be the central point for all these regulatory agencies, GRA, SNET, customs, everywhere you go. So your Ghana card can be your thing, it can be your passport number, it can be anything. The Citizen app, we don't need it. Dr. Bawumia wanted to create job contract for finance his campaign.
Hold on. There are 2 institutions here. He mentioned SNET. I'll take 30 seconds. He mentioned SNET. Let's say DVLA and SNET. If you go to SNET, you input your Ghana card details for SNET, won't you? If you go to DVLA, you input your Ghana card details, won't you do that? On the Citizens app, you don't need to. Because when you input your Ghana card, like I have mine here,
you don't.
You see, you don't need to put anything. Once you have your Ghana card on there, everything else you go to, you just go straight away because the
it's the same.
Takes care of
it's
it.
the same. So SNET doesn't need to recreate a new number for you.
App and upload your details. When you go to SNET to transact business, they need to verify that you are the person there.
Yes.
They need to verify that you are the person there. So the Citizen app, as you are claiming, it's not a solution to everything. The verification mechanism will continue to be there. Because if you go to the bank transact business, they need to check whether you are the same person there. If you go to DVLA to do business, they need to check whether you're the same person there. At every stage, the verification process would be conducted. The Citizen app may give you a centralized point to throw in all the data, but the verification is equally important. It will not wipe away the point of verification even in SIM card registration. That is why this SIM card registration, the very unique part of it is the verification. Because if you don't verify and provide your details, someone else's detail is being used for your name and can be used to transact fraudulent transactions that will affect you.
Otam, thank you very much. You're still watching The Big Issue, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. It's also live on City 97.3 FM. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll discuss our last topic.
Channel 1 TV is celebrating Ochiame Kwame, the cultural icon, the musical genius, and the philanthropist. Kwame turns 50 years in April, and Channel 1 TV is celebrating him for his contribution towards arts and culture, health and wellness, and positive impact on the youth. We are hosting OK at 50, a night of 50 songs and love at Plus 233 on April 18 at 7 p.m. till you beg to go home. Dedicated to my stable girls. It's a one-mic chair. Featuring an all-star lineup of Ghanaian artists who have been impacted by this legend. Kiddy, Kwame Eugene, Brothers, Sister Fia, Amrado, Miss V, Abochi, Kwabna, Akwabua, Raskuku, Adina, Abiana, Kweku Darlington, and King Paluta. 10 artists performing 50 songs. It's going to be an all-white party with a purpose. Ochiame wishes to build a pediatric emergency center.
Hello and welcome to the Channel 1 newsroom from our studios at number 5, Ola Hansen Lane at Tesano in Accra. I am Nanatifu Obwati.
I'm Frema Edunyame.
I am Umaru Sanda Amadu.
I am Inesafo.
I am Charles Osukumi.
I am Makosia Otrick.
They've given you land to build an airport, and the airport is named after them, and then you are going to change it and put your name.
We hear a Jumara National Apprenticeship Program in Kokon Kete. Well, they are paper.
A terrorist attack in Burkina Faso claimed the lives of 8 Ghanaian tomato traders.
Our fire extinguishers, they are empty. In the market, our fire extinguishers are empty.
This appeal Ghanaians have been working for. It was one of our flagship strategies for economic transformation.
What do we have to do now for you to call off the strike?
The others also, did influence the voters.
Prof, what becomes of these students, especially the continuing ones?
They should reverse everything that they have done.
Channel 1 Newsroom airs Monday to Sunday at 8 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
We are welcome back. You are still watching The Big Issue, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra, also live on City 97.3 FM. My name is Sami. We are sitting in for your regular host, Umaru Sanda Amado. A number of your text messages have come in. Let me read a few. Sami, tell Kojo that the re-registration is the best thing that will ever happen to this country. What his administration did in 2022 and 2023 did not help us at all. How can you do a registration when the two key institutions, i.e. the NIA and the NCA, are not in communication? Another point here says, fantastic point from Duncan. It's about time we consider other options because the way the war is going, Enchekra by June there, Lau. Mesa in Ashama says, why are leaders always thinking about today but refuse to think about the future? Let's consider the generation coming because this war is not ending anytime soon. One here from Kojo in Tema says, Sami, let the UP also provide their options in terms of what is happening in the Middle East. If the current administration is failing in that direction, what will Mr. Alan Kyerematen do differently if he was President of the Republic? Final one here from Ayi in Tema. Ayi in Tema says, we have done registration several times. Almost everywhere you go, your bio data is collected. Who is protecting us? Is the Ghana Data Commission doing its job at all? We live in a country where it's only God who is taking care of us. Okay. Now I'll let you respond to what the gentleman said. Yeah. If Alan Kyerematen was president, what differently would he do?
In regards to the similar registration?
No, he's talking about the middle issue.
No, first of all, see, we had advocated for an establishment of what we call enterprise economy. If you leave the economy in the hands of the private sector, you build more resilience, you create opportunity for every Ghanaian, and the access to the opportunity you create equity. So we have been insisting that, for example, the scrapping of the One District, One Factory program was wrong by the NDC government. Secondly, the investment in real sector of the economy, agriculture, number 1, 2, industrialization, 3, tourism, and infrastructure development are key to building sustainability going forward. What Honorable Alan Kyerematen and the UP would have done, first, to stabilize the economy, and that's why we commend the government for doing that. After stabilizing the economy, you need to invest in private sector to take advantage of the stability and create opportunity for wealth creation. What will be our immediate goals? First is to de-risk the sector. De-risking the sector, there are key problems or critical problems that private sector face. High cost of capital. Yes, interest rates is coming down, but access is impeded. How do you correct that? So you can, for example, create a pool of funds that would target a certain strategic sector of the economy. Number 1, you see, import substitution.
The text only asks what you do about middle
import substitution. No, but I'm telling you that policies and programs. No, policies.
He's only manifesting.
I'm landing on that in 2. I'm landing on that in 1 minute.
In the midst of this crisis.
No, but you see, you do that when you build a strong private sector, then you can withstand these shocks. Immediately, that's why in my submission, I said that first we need to face our approach. One is the immediate action we need to take. How much buffer stock do we have with BOST? Duncan said, basically, we don't have any. It means that we've not invested in BOST. So we need to reallocate resources to BOST to be able to accumulate quick stock of crude or refined products so that we can sell at stable prices. How do we do that? We can ask the Bank of Ghana to create, money is paper, to create a special instrument to finance the purchase of crude for refined, for buffer stock to stock in a strategic reserve. So that would have been an immediate response. But you see, it goes beyond that. That's why I was elaborating on the key things that the government should have done, which the government hasn't done.
Okay. Okay, thank you for giving us what Mr. Lechamati would do if he was president.
Not to come up with a citizen app, not to come up with a citizen
There's a text that came in. The person said the best thing that ever happened in this government.
Yes.
Clearly, the reset has failed. If the best thing that ever happened to this government is SIM re-registration, I end there. Once the text came in, the text came in and said, read that text again.
Well, this week,
the best thing, but the best thing that ever happened.
This week, President John Dramani Mahama held a meeting with organized labor to dialogue and trade ideas on how best his administration can help workers or cushion workers in the face of what many people have said, difficult times, even though the economy is stabilized and a lot of things. CLOSAG was on strike for a number of days. They've called off their strike, but we had indication about one unemployment rate which is going up and what the government is doing in helping address issues of unemployment. Nurses, teachers, and the likes have been home for God knows a number of years, but yet to be employed. This meeting, according to government, was to hear from organized labor, trade ideas on how best they can resolve, labor issues, and the issue of unemployment, which has dominated conversation, will be addressed. Apanga, I'll start with you. Was this meeting a right step, a call in the right direction?
Absolutely. I mean, it is engagement with stakeholders, key stakeholders like organized labor, that would help to resolve the issues that we have, particular issues raised by CLOSAG that has led into the strike actions. I mean, if you don't engage and then you sit at different ends and throw out accusations and claims and all that, we will not resolve it. Don't forget that organized labor on one hand has the power and they had actually even taken a resolution to go on strike. And that would mean that government business will come to a standstill. It would affect a lot of things.
Even the close-up strike some few days ago brought almost governors to a standstill.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because, I mean, you should know how CLOSAG is. CLOSAG is the entire governance system. I mean, the civil servants, all the other persons who would push files to the ministers. So you can have the ministers and the chief directors at the office, but without the support staff who would push things, nothing would happen. And this is across the country. I mean, the local government, administrations and all that. And so, for me, I think the president took a very bold step to invite them into the presidency at the Jubilee House to have a discussion that would find a way to resolve the issues that they have raised. I mean, we can't resolve it over just one meeting. It would involve several engagements that would probably come out with a roadmap and the implementation of that roadmap. What we have done to ourselves in the past that perhaps has affected us badly is that sometimes we make promises to labor
and you don't fulfill them.
And not just fulfill them, and put timelines for implementation that sometimes transcends beyond a particular government. I mean, we all appreciate that government is a continuum. I mean, when NPP leaves, NDC takes over. But where you have transactions and agreements...
But now I disagree. That NDC will take over, NPP will come. We are bringing people like that.
Okay, let me correct myself. UP may take over. Why did I even say may? UP will take over.
But you see, now everybody thinks everything is possible.
The CPP used to be in government.
Oh, please.
It is possible.
My brother, not all things are possible. Don't bring that thing.
Today I'm saying it is possible.
Well, that's fine.
It is not possible.
Let me go back to my point.
Let me go back to my point.
Please go ahead.
And so I think that one of the things we have done to ourselves that sometimes creates challenges for us over time is when we negotiate with labor and then we agree on certain timelines, but the timelines transcend beyond a particular regime. Forgetting that there are budgetary constraints, there are revenue constraints that every regime would have to take care of. And so sometimes when the regime now will have to implement some of these recommendations and agreements, it will create some bottlenecks with financial availability of resources, because here we are, you did not factor this in your planning and projections. And the fiscal space sometimes is so small that you cannot now introduce some of this cost. I mean, a 10%, 20% increase in revenue or wages for labor, it's huge. It's very, very huge.
But they've always complained that their condition of service has never been good.
That is quite true. But condition of service is not just salaries. Condition of service also include other factors that you work with. And so I think that the engagement is good. Let's hope that continuous engagement will lead to some solution that would not... See, we are almost getting into a crisis situation where with the war in Iran, creating some uncertainty with our economy, we're not too sure how things will go. The least we would expect is to have a labor crisis in addition to an already existing, likely existence of a power crisis and fuel crisis. That will put so much burden on us. And so I think that the engagement is good. The president has taken a bold step. Under normal circumstances, you would have seen the Minister of Labor taking charge of this. But to have the president himself getting involved, it tells you how important the value the president places on the entire conversation and how he has taken it personal to ensure that this is resolved once and for all. Okay. I am only urging that Labour should also consider the constraints that government has, and then in making some demands, Labour will consider some of the situations we have and then perhaps compromise that would be beneficial to all of us. If we have a system that collapses on all of us, I mean, it makes no point if salaries are increased by 50% and government cannot pay. We are better off having a system that allows us to be able to pay, no matter how difficult the amount may be.
Duncan, there are many who have said that this is a smart move from the president because what's happening in the Middle East may result in some economic hardship. And so let me call you to the table, let me tell you the situation. And so if you have intentions of making some demands or even considering going on strike, at least I've told you the reality on the ground. So a smart move from the president.
Smart, but reality sometimes would not capture what smart really is. Same, the government will continue to be the single largest spender in every economy. Not only would the public wage continue to be an albatross around the neck of governments, today's government, future government, previous governments. So, question of, are we really optimizing the public sector? Right? The labor front. There was recent talk of the security service recruitment. Then a resolution had to become to that instead of probably the 5,000 that we're going to recruit, we'll double it, right? It's going to have another toll on the fiscal space that we have. That will come with your wages and remuneration also going up. Is productivity going up as much? I bet the answer Franklin will have to provide for me. I'm not too sure we correspond or we merge the two. So over here, it becomes just a frenzy. We need to employ. I think that the monies that government would spend trying to employ everybody, if the government opened the private sector, allowed more incentives, made power cheaper, made the cost of running or doing business in Ghana cheaper, right? So it's the same fiscal basket.
But the prices are not overburdened because anytime there's an issue of unemployment, the consideration, let the private sector come in. Is the private sector not overburdened?
You see, exactly my point.
The private sector is the one that's supposed to provide the jobs, not government.
You see, Samir?
It's not government.
Kojo, it's my time.
Go ahead.
So you see, Samir, if the government understands that I'm probably going to end up taking on 100,000 at the end of the year, right? If you do cost-benefit analysis to the public sector, and the 100,000 will probably cost you, let's say, 10 billion more to your public sector wage bill, right? That 10 billion is in a basket that would have to be spent.
If I needed to do, labor analysis on this one, you know what I would do? Would I be able to stimulate the private sector with 5 billion, right, in incentives, probably good roads, give them cheaper electricity, something to help manufacturing, believing one and same to be true, that once you help the private sector to get expansion or to get easier friendly environment to do business, maybe the 100,000 you are seeking to even absorb, right, they will end up doing 200,000 for you at the end of the year, because Kojo's office, instead of taking 3 people, can do 5. Everybody is doing 3 more, 2 more. People are running around, and then reduce the cost of business to them. It's one of the bigger problems that we have in our country. People come in to set up businesses. GRA will frustrate you sometimes to a point where you ask, even where you've not made revenues, they are asking for taxes, right? So if you have a business-friendly environment, people can invest the little monies they have. That people are not hungry, Same, to invest in treasury bills. You see, where you know your country has a finance problem is where monies that should go into business is going into treasury bills. People want to borrow to government and make their returns because the cost of doing business is so high. The uncertainties around business is something daunting. I would rather leave my 1 million Ghana cedis in a treasury bill and take the returns from government, who is not producing much anyway, rather than going to invest the 1 million probably in a farm, right? A farming enterprise. If I'm going to some district and the road, there's land, the place you find very, very arable lands, the road networks will not even allow you to go, Same. So there should be a conscious effort towards moving some of the infrastructure that is overly concentrated in Accra, around East Legon, cantonments, Labone, right, to farming communities, right? Showcase that and say, look, we are even building a community pool, we are putting up affordable housing here so that people can find something to do. The lands exist, right? A young person out of the university, team up with 4 of your friends, right? Find some little capital, start a farming, maybe some 20, 30 acre farm, and see what returns you make out of it. If you come to public sector employment, I'm paying you 2,800 or 3,000 or 5,000. But if you did your own thing, you probably will be able to get 100,000 at the end of a year, right? If they do those analysis, a lot of the young men would not bother, right, to want to go out there, create opportunities for themselves, believing that they will be better off, working for themselves than working for the state. Unfortunately, in Ghana, everybody wants to be a public sector worker because revenues or money's remunerations are guaranteed. So the state will bear the burden. At the end of the day,
and there's job security.
And there's job security. Yeah. So everybody thinks that government is the one to appoint or recruit or employ everybody. I don't think that that mindset is helping us. And I think that Mr. President would need to look beyond the labor wage consideration, right? And craft very deliberate programs that attracts the youth to want to do something for themselves. Rather than the youth, if you open portals for recruitment into customs, right? You are doing about 3,000 customs recruitment.
You get 30,000.
100,000 people are, it tells you that the youth are looking for things to do. There's really no clear-cut state deliberate policy to get them to do things. So all that pressure is now on the public sector to recruit everybody. And like I said, Ketia said, if we recruit everybody, who are we even going? Oh no, wait. Kojo. That is not what he said.
That's what he said.
That is not what Kojo. That is not what he said.
Kojo. That is not what Kojo. If everybody becomes police,
you see,
wrap up.
You see, Kojo will not leave mischief. You see, so what I'm saying is this. If everybody is getting onto the public sector wage bill, right, who is really going to feed the public sector? And most times, we even go, the unproductive part of public sector wage is sometimes higher than the productive. You go to some of these firms or industries, right, a job that can be done by 10 people, 100.
I have one institution that I discussed this week, privately. People are sitting even in corridors. He's come to work. There's really nothing. If chief executive or deputy chief executive pass, then they get up and they greet. Then when he passes, that's the end of the day for them. They play with their phones till closing time. They go home. At the end of the month, the public sector wage has to cater for them. I think that we should diversify our portfolio. Yeah. We should encourage private sector. We should motivate them. Exim Bank should be given whatever resources. And then they should go and show real, KPIs being delivered. I gave Kojo 100,000 to do a chicken, farm. And Kojo has been able to even multiply the money in 3 or 4 folds. Why wouldn't it be lucrative for Same to also want to do something similar? That pressure on public sector, I think it is one of the security threats that we should be dealing with.
Kojo, I'll let you have the last
and leave
bite. I'll let you have the last bite. Let me come to Nana, and then you finalize everything for us. I will squeeze your time. I promise I will. I will squeeze your time.
Those pieces should have the right of rebuttal.
Why is this court?
I have heard the finance minister say that the country's revenue, over 30% is just, or 40% goes into wages and compensation. Can we continue this way?
Obviously, no. In addition to that, he also said we actually borrowed over, I think, 17 billion just to take care of the wage bill. You see, let me admit that the engagement the president had with the organized labor was timely, because the CLOSAC strike was actually bringing the government institutions operations down. So it was timely. But it's not the first time. I can say that almost every president gave the organized labor opportunity to engage them. So we need to look beyond just engagement, because fine, you see, the press will cover it, we'll talk about it, but we need to look at how the key issues, number one, low productivity in public sector, as Duncan was saying. And it is very common. There are, at least, all of us might have engaged public institutions. And you see that you enter a public institution, at the reception alone, you have 3 people sitting there. 3 people sitting there. Private sector, it will not happen. Another issue is beyond that too, is you can see that even it is impacting on labor quality. Because when they want to even move from their sector to the other sector, they lack the capacity to deliver. That is another key thing. The next one that we need to confront is the way the pension management is going. And I believe that, as Abanga said, the president's dialogue should go beyond that and establish a platform where we can interrogate how workers' pension is being managed. Because I don't see workers' pension being invested in the productive sector, for example, in value addition. But most of them, they do that to buy short-term securities, because they have to also pay back their returns. And the government can take a strategic position that a certain percentage of organized labor pension should be invested in, say, SOEs. And the SOEs, we have to employ not political appointees, but we should give the board the opportunity to employ competent people with track record to manage. Because if you look across SOE, we don't talk about them now. Volta Star is down, Falugu Tomato is gone. All of them, Commander Sugar, everyone is down. Now, most institutions that are doing well are regulatory institutions, and they also are overstaffed. So we need to look at pension sustainability. My last point in terms of the agenda for that meeting and the subsequent discussions that should follow will be how we can leverage the people who are about exiting organized labor, let me say the civil service, because our pension age is 60. And now I meet people I've had the opportunity to work with, they tell me I've retired. I say, hey, but you look strong enough to continue working, because that will become a crisis.
But I think we should have a national conversation.
I'm telling you, we should. You see, we should prioritize very critical issues in our economy. And that's what UP stands for. These things, Kojo Dems and NDC, they are looking beyond that and considering citizen up and then same registration. That is critical. That didn't come up in the discussion. And I'm I'm proposing that in the subsequent discussion with organized labor, that should be something to consider. Now, how do we improve labor productivity in our public sector? I think not only CROSAC, all members of the organized labor have a responsibility. They must admit that the overstaffing is something that we have to confront as a nation. The wage bill cannot, the state cannot sustain this wage bill we have. So how do we confront that? We need a government that will say that, look, we need layoff and retrenchment. And UP, we have the courage to say that because it will save the nation and find alternative jobs for these young guys who are getting are already in the system, in the public institution. Because they go to work, as Duncan is saying, they don't do anything. So I mean, what I'm saying is the truth. You, Channel 1 and City, you've done very well. You can go into this institution and talk to the people. They will tell you that they come to work. I have a friend, I spoke to him and he was telling me, 2 weeks I haven't gone to work. I asked him why. He said, but when I go, I don't get any work to do. But I asked him, he says, but you get paid. He said, but to be any day. So yes, and this is happening across board. All MDAs, you understand? You have people, especially when there was a transition, people were pleading that, transfer me to a district. Because when I'm there, at least I've secured my salary. He won't go to work, but he has secured the salary. So that is the waste in the system that the organized labor, I think, must be objective, inward-looking, and confront and help the nation. Else, their salaries will continue to be low because they are not giving out the results that they were employed to deliver.
Koyo,
yes.
I'll give you the last bite.
Yes, say, You see, we've had 15 months of this government, and clearly everybody can admit that the reset agenda did not start.
Is it 15 months?
Yes, 15 months.
We're in March.
15 months.
January, okay.
15 months. Also, you're surprised that it's been 15 months.
But they've done well.
Oh, my brother, depending what you are, what is when? When is relativity? What is when? When by which yardstick? Yard by which yardstick? Listen, you had a system whereby you budgeted 35% for wage bill for 2025. You ended the year spending 44%. So your wage bill went up from what you budgeted, right? You now went through the year by having to borrow 17 billion to augment your wage bill. How is that doing well? Who asked you that when you come, taxes that you are receiving without understanding the landscape of which you are coming in the name of politics, you scrap all these taxes and then let a man come forward, then take the funds for it. And today, you are complaining about it. So look, everybody around the table knows that the fundamental restructuring needs to be done. No government that does fundamental restructuring gets the credit in the 4 years that they are in, because it takes time for that fundamental restructuring to show. And no government wants to do that. People want to point to things that they've done. But what this country needs is fundamental restructuring. We hear about Women Bank. Where is it? 15 months down the line, the women who needed money to work, to be able to employ their kids, employ family members, and start a business, there's no Women Bank. The kids were promised 133. 1 job, 3 people, 3 shifts. Where is it? And we are told that, it takes time. Meanwhile, when you did your 2026 budget, you didn't appropriate any money for the 24-hour economy authority to give anybody money to help them either work longer or even protection. The only money you appropriated is for the running of the 24-hour authority. So you are going to wait till 2027. By then, how many years is left for you? So look, I don't see how people say that they've done well. Done well with what? The MPP administration has done a lot in place, right, giving you a good growth in 2024, you piggyback off that and had a good year 2025. Now the chicken has come home to roast. We've seen all the indicators that in the mid-year budget, we'll see that this economy is not going to grow as fast as we want it to grow. Why is that? Because Bank of Ghana is mobilizing liquidity from the economy because we want to keep inflation down. right? There's a lot of fire, there's growth, there is energy in the economy. You are putting water to boil it down.
That's not the case.
My brother, my brother, you say no. You say that's not the case. The numbers will come, it will show it. I'm telling you that the growth is here, bro.
Listen, you see, if you say that they are quenching the growth, it is not the case. Because only we understand.
Okay, so can I ask you a question?
Listen,
I'm on the floor.
I'm just saying that see, the BOG has signaled that
I
think the private sector should have more access to credit.
Why are they mopping up liquidity from the sector?
They are not.
They are spending 17 billion.
The cost of borrowing.
Hold on. That's it. No, but you are forcing it down, bro. No, you are. My brother. Look. Listen. Why is Bank? No. That's not what I'm saying. Bank of Ghana is buying T-bills, aren't they?
No, they are buying T-bills.
No. Thank you. Why is that?
Because I heard the governor say.
Why is that?
I heard the governor say.
Hold on.
It's your platform.
The liquidity, yes, but bro.
That's what that signals. Is in economics. What that signal is that people will reallocate. So now
people reallocate what?
Resources instead of buying T-bill, because T-bill is not
to
productive investment.
Are they doing that?
No, but that's the
theory. But that's the theory.
But that is the policy direction government signals.
Let me say two things, bro. What I'm saying to you that, bro. We can have this. We can have. Hold on. We can have this argument. We can have this argument after media review. I'm telling you on authority that by mid-year, the GDP growth this year will be lower than last year. And you can disagree. But
I can't disagree because we haven't reached.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That the signals show that the growth this year will be lower. Because you see, when we are trying to achieve a certain inflation, the OECD countries don't need a certain growth, so they can keep inflation around that 1%, 2%, 3%, and have a certain growth because they are a developed nation. We are a developing nation, so we need growth at a certain percentage. That is why I'm saying that because we have kept inflation the way it is, and the method at which we are using it is to basically mopping liquidity. So we are squeezing liquidity from the system so that we don't have more inflationary pressures. Oh, my brother, but that's what Bank of Ghana has been doing. They came and announced it.
I'm saying that then you are just giving wrong information.
Well, I'm not. Bank of Ghana didn't come and say that they mop liquidity from there.
Liquidity, one of the mechanisms will through moral suasion, and one is confrontational. The confrontational, they've tamed that. They've tamed that by telling you that now if you want to borrow, I'm selling to you cheaper.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that the Bank of Ghana come and say that. The Bank of Ghana come and say that they spent 17 billion in mopping liquidity. Did they say that?
That was for last year.
Thank you. So, but that's what I'm saying. But they've done that. But this year we don't have any numbers. What I'm saying is that Bank of Ghana spent money to mop up liquidity from the sector, from the business, from the economy. What I am saying is that is going to have a dominoes effect into this year. The point I'm making that I'm trying to put across is that we are not meeting the targets that the country needs. In some jurisdiction, you can use inflation to finance your economy, right? We have kept inflation very low. We have artificially kept the cedi to a certain amount, right? What does that do? We are only thinking that importers are happy, but go and ask exporters if they're happy. Exporters who create jobs are not happy because hold on, I'm not saying allow, but you see, there is always a downside to any action.
But the current stability brings its own advantages.
Thank you. And disadvantages.
But the advantages are more.
No, it's not.
The advantages are more. The advantages are more.
The disadvantages outweigh the advantage, but they are only highlighting the advantages to you. Let me tell you the disadvantage. We're keeping a currency at a very low price, right? But we keep forgetting that when you now have to bring in exports, right, to pay your bill, you are exchanging the export at a much lower rate to pay a much higher domestic debt market. You are borrowing locally, you have a domestic debt. Hold on, your taxation is not enough to pay your domestic debt. Your exports that you are exporting, your likes of the gold and all these things that you are bringing, if your exchange rate was a little bit higher, you get more money to service your ballooning domestic debt. You are bringing in your export in forex. You are getting less money to pay your domestic debt that is ballooning. So look, they are highlighting the advantages to you, but if you listen to the likes of me, we will highlight you the disadvantages.
On the other hand, already you thought that we should listen to you.
Of course. But I am. Let me land quickly. Let me land quickly so my brother can have his 1 minute if he wants it. The point I'm making is that the meeting with the president and Labour. You see, my problem with Labour is that when they meet president, they don't tell them the things they have to tell them.
Oh, this time what they did.
Oh, my brother.
This is what they did.
My brother mentioned something very. Did he mention the pension? Did he mention the pension?
It came up.
And what did he say?
It came up.
He said.
I heard Joshua Ansah mention about that the government should do something about their pension because some of them
their pension payments or the increasing of pension.
Increment and the current situation.
So he talked about increment pension age.
Yes.
Okay.
No, the pension age. No, I didn't hear about that one.
That's what we are talking about.
The pension increment.
He's talking about his money that he gets when he pensions.
Yes.
But that is not the problem. The problem is that today, the pension post that we have is not sustainable because people are living longer. And if we keep retiring at 60 years, there's a problem ahead of us. Why are they not talking to the president about extended pension age? We learned this from the UK, right? We're colonial from the British. They have extended for the last 10, 15 years to 67 years. We have stuck at 60. So what I'm saying is that the president can say all the things he has to say. The reset agenda, which he truly campaigned on, Jamutu.
Thank you. If Franklin is on the line, let me get a final bite on Franklin on this president's meeting with Labour. Franklin, I'm sure I've taken a lot of your time, but in just a minute, your take of the president's meeting with Labour.
But again, back to basics. I think it was during Kufuor's time that we introduced what is called the single spine policy, right? And I think the NDC took it over and decided that they were going to implement it.
Yeah.
One of the most fraudulent way of paying people in the public service. It defies what they call the laws of demand and supply, and introduced this discordant way of actually paying people. It basically says that if you have a degree in accounting and I have a degree in maybe garden and works at parks and gardens, we should all be paid the same. It doesn't make sense. Because the point really is that
Franklin, your line again. Franklin Kujo.
Somebody who crunches numbers, right? So clearly speaking, that was a farcical way of paying people. And I think the best thing we should do is to have a clear data-driven compensation policy as we speak right now. A modern integrated job evaluation performance-linked pay system, and obviously have a strategic way of deciding that, look, whatever we are paying the public sector must be linked to development. Yeah. We cannot continue this way of spending over 40% of what they call expenditure on public sector pay. What is the productivity equivalent? Zero.
Thank you.
It's annoying.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Franklin Kujo is president.
You allow Kojo to talk too much.
I did. I know. It won't be so the next time. Forgive me, Franklin. Forgive me. It won't be so next time. Forgive me. Franklin Kujo is president of Imani Africa. Also in the studio was Kojo Nsafua-Poku, an energy analyst and a member of the New Patriotic Party. Dr. Nanayao Educhum, Director of Policy, the United Party. Duncan Amwa, Executive Director of COPEG. And Lamtin Apanga, Deputy CEO, the Gaming Commission, and member of the National Democratic Congress.
Which Ghanaian Muslims happy Eid on behalf of the United Party?
Our brothers and sisters, Muslim, happy Eid to you. So we come your way again. May the good Lord be with us all.
Space Explorers, welcome to the Wonder Space Show with Miss Natalie.
In a place you want to discover, there's so much to uncover. Are you an explorer? Yes! Then join us on an adventure. All you need to do is look closely.
wondering, what's Miss Natalie wearing today? Does anyone know what this outfit is called? That's right, kente. Okay, so I need your help. Can you help me describe this outfit? What colors can you see? Purple and lime green. That's right. Now I need your help again. What shapes can you see? Are there any unique shapes on this outfit? Can you spot the difference? This is also kente, but it's different colors and it has different patterns. Can you help me spot the colors? Yes, we have orange, green, yellows, blue. Did I miss anything? Okay, so can you help me spot some shapes on this kente? We have some stripes, we have connected rectangles, we have zigzag lines, and many more. I'm sure you're wondering, where do I get all these lovely outfits? My grandma gives us kente on special occasions. Guess what? Kente is usually worn during special occasions like weddings, engagements, and festivals, traditional festivals. Kente is very special. Many years ago, kente was reserved for leaders and other special people like the Asante and other chiefs. So the different kinds of kente have special meanings. This outfit means something different from what I wore before. Do you remember the green and purple outfit I wore? We'll find out a little later what the different types of kente mean. Wait, what did you say? Did you say that there's a spider behind me? I don't really like spiders. Oh, okay. I'll tell you why the spider is there. But now we need to learn about the history and origin of kente, and then I'll tell you why the spider is next to me. I'm still scared though. I have the perfect book to teach us about the history and origin of kente. Now this book is titled Kente for a King. This story was first told by Angela Christian, and it was retold by Kathy Knowles, and it was illustrated by Edmond Opare. Many years ago, in the kingdom of Ashanti, there lived a powerful king. He was a fearless warrior, brave in battle, and respected by his followers.